Hello, everybody. How are you? Oh, I got to turn down my phone. Sorry. I want to be the one person watching on Facebook. That's why I have my phone on. Hey, welcome to the Primal Scream. I am Todd. Matt's somewhere in the studio right now, making sure all the bells and whistles are going off. But today we have Justin Roberts with us from WMT Radio.
What an honor for you.
Yes, it absolutely is. I could not agree more. It is
I'm kidding.
It's awesome. Well, you had us on the morning show.
Mm-hmm.
Is that 3 years ago?
It might have been 2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
It's been a bit. But we're looking forward to having you on because we had Todd Dorman on from the Gazette, editor for the Gazette. Very nice guy. But again, I think the reason why media is becoming such a popular thing, whether it's fake news from Trump or, I'm just saying that the reason why we have him on is that I like talking to people. It's like I like to have an African-American on and we can talk about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
If we're going to have #MeToo segment, I'd rather have a woman on here so I can understand better what we're talking about.
Well, I would have been here sooner, but there were a lot of moms in yoga pants turning into Target. So, I got stuck at the intersection.
I hate it when that happens.
A lot of SUVs. It delayed me by an hour, but here I am. So,
yeah, we're so happy to have you. It's going to be awesome.
All right, so what do we want to start with first, Todd? Do you want to break down? Do you want to cover just a couple of current events?
Yes.
And that,
okay.
I mean, they kind of go with what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can.
Okay.
Because we're going to be talking about a little bit of fake news and how to navigate those
boy.
waters, if you will. Right? Because
Works for me,
it's
yeah.
kind of a pet peeve of yours.
Oh, God, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the things that has happened recently, which is the president being caught on camera saying, "Take their guns.
Yep.
Forget about the Second Amendment. We'll worry about due process later."
Really?
Essentially, it's the same argument. Shoot first and ask question later.
Right.
Essentially, is what he said. So.
But that would be viewed almost as fake news because not 2 days later he had met with a spokesperson from the NRA. And he came out of the meeting, and the person from the NRA is like, "Hey, don't worry, he didn't really mean what he meant."
Nothing to see here.
Yeah. So depending on when you're watching or if you caught that clip, it's either fake news or it's not. And
it depends on the day. Yeah.
Yeah, and with this president, I'm trying not. I really don't try to be a Trump hater.
Oh, same here. But it's hard not to.
It's hard to give realistic examples and it not come across like I'm a non-supporter of the president.
Because, as you well know, if you say something that anyone that supports the president doesn't believe, the first thing they say is, "Oh, well, fake news. There's no factual basis there. It's fake news." You could say, "Well, the sky is kind of purple right now. Oh, that's fake news. It's blue. You know that," and stuff like that. That's where it's frustrating.
And I think that's the hardest part is when did we get to a point? Well, we saw this coming. I think administrations past that people just being in denial. But now the denial is hitting at epic levels in the sense of I don't agree with you. So everything you say, I'm just going to say sorry. I don't. It's fake. It's fake.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And the hard part is that he gets caught in the middle a lot because at one point he was saying the same things Democrats say now because he was a Democrat back in the day. So. I mean, I'm all for people changing their points of view, and I would hope that over time I've changed my points of view about things. But the minute things come up again, we could bump up against a wall where we're unsure. It goes against our ideology, things like that, and what we do is dismiss it for being fake. That to me is about as anti-American as you could probably get, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm with you. I'm not trying to be a Trump hater, but I'm like, man, there's something to this idea of. I don't know. At least Obama sounded smart. At least he was. I know he was well educated. Not that Trump wasn't well educated, but came across with an eloquence that made me think, "Oh, he's presidential."
Yeah, he's speaking in a way that seems the way someone would carry themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to kind of like go back and forth between like. I hate to call him buffoon, but I kind of feel that way. Like, I think the best thing I ever heard was a man baby.
Yeah.
Was Jon Stewart. That was Jon Stewart after he was done with his show. Said it's like watching a man baby. He's kind of like toddling along and unsure, and then just says shit that off the top of his head.
Oh yeah, and it depends on who his audience is. I mean, if you're talking to a bunch of gun people, well then he's going to say everything that he can to get them in his corner.
Right.
than if you're talking to a bunch of parents and students who just went through a horrific shooting. Now I'm going to say what gets them in my corner. I'm going to talk to a bunch of conservative Republicans. What can I say to them to get them riled? Like we saw that at CPAC a couple weeks ago. Well, John McCain wasn't a war hero. He got the entire room to boo a man who's dying of cancer who is a war hero. But not even 2 months before that, talks to John McCain's daughter, says, your father's an honorable man, everything he sacrificed for our country, the man deserves the utmost respect. 2 months later, that coin is flipped around. So it's just a matter of who can he get, and I think that's just the businessman in him, the guy who's used to shaking people down for money and donations and stuff. Take that to the higher level here. Well, I can get these people behind me. If I can get this group behind me, they're not going to talk to each other. They're not going to know. They've just heard what they want to hear, and that's it.
Get the deal done.
Get the deal done. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I kind of think that is that more along the lines of the entertainment industry? Like you hear Joe Rogan talking about all his any of the friends that he's had that have been actors. Like they will say whatever the person needs to hear to get the part because they just want acceptance.
I think so.
Is that because propaganda is not a new thing?
No,
fake news is the label. Fake news is a new thing, but propaganda is an old thing, and that stuff has been around forever. And there's many, many, many examples of fake news or fake or propaganda or fad diets, right?
Yeah.
There's all these things where you want to grab somebody's attention really quick. Is that the truth? Was there a lot of truth being told during the campaign trail, But we, for whatever reason, on this cycle, we've decided to sweep those things under a rug and go, you know what? Yeah, there's just a lot of lying going on.
Well, he says
mistruths.
what he thinks. I mean, I don't like him, but he says it like he feels it. And that was the get out of jail free. That was the do not pass, go directly collect $200 pass,
Right.
And that's what got the guy elected.
Absolutely, because everybody was tired of the slick talkers.
Yeah.
They knew Hillary, and I firmly believe that she's
go ahead.
a charlatan. I thought she was a horrible, horrible candidate. And I think once they saw that Bernie Sanders was kind of the Trump's version on the left, so to speak, about him speaking his mind and kind of talking against the status quo, I'm not surprised at all that we got some guy in there who was going to be like, I'm going to speak plain to the truth, but I'm going to keep it really simple and really dumbed down. And that comes across maybe poorly. Maybe that's part of what it is. But yeah, I mean, the hard part is that the Twitter thing just still catches me off guard. I kind of respect the fact that past presidents were kind of had their cell phone taken away because it's like, hey, listen, you're no longer a normal person.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. This is someone who, whether it was Donald Trump or whether it was Hillary, whoever got elected and whoever is elected needs to be held to a higher standard. It's not just a regular Joe Schmo off the street. This is a guy this is the salesman for America. This is the person who wears America on their lapel pin when they go abroad. That's someone we should all be proud of. Or at least if you don't agree with the policy, have respect for the office.
You believe he's a good representation of us as a whole.
And the thing is, people don't have respect for the office, but there are certain signs that say, okay, I can help you make that argument right now. I could certainly see why you feel that way. My grandpa Dale, he was, went through the Great Depression. Didn't matter who the president was, you respected that person, or at least you showed them respect, whether you didn't agree with them, because they were the person who was the face of America. But I can understand why people don't feel that way now.
Yeah. Well, I had good friends who were conservatives that were just kind of like they didn't like Obama, but they still respected him, like you're talking about. I've definitely seen less of that. So, did you want to talk about a certain current event in particular?
No, I mean that was kind of. I mean, for me, that stands out. I don't know of any other president, and please, anybody who's watching right now, if you can correct me, and a lot of times you can, please put something on Facebook, comment, ask me a question, correct me, show me where to go. But I can't think of any president ever who said, you know what, screw your rights. We'll worry about Miranda later.
Yeah.
That is a game changer for somebody to get caught on camera to be saying something like that. To me, that's a huge current event.
Let me throw a new one at you, if I may.
Do it.
I think within the last 24 hours of when we got together here, the president came out, and Xi Jinping is the premier of China. He is now the president for life in China. We have this trade war going on with China right now.
Yeah,
we have
this
this
whole
thing,
aluminum right?
and tariffs and everything. But the president comes out and says, he's the president for life. I respect him. Maybe we should give that a try sometime.
Yeah, good for him.
I'm like, wait a minute now. There are people who died and fought a war in 1776 and broke away from Europe and got on boats, so we never had to worry about that because that's what we fled, how many 200 plus years ago. Now it's we should give it a try sometime. What's the worst? The Caller 9 come in,
How about MASH? We had lots of guys die on that 38th parallel because they were going against China and Korea. So, I mean, I think you're right. He is the ultimate salesman. And he is always selling things, but I'm always not sure that it's for the benefit of us. It might be for the benefit of him, but I'm not sure it's the benefit of us. But
sure. No, I was just for me mainly. It was there was that one example of Miranda rights. What you had brought up with what's going on with this trade embargo that might be happening that would really affect industries here. Yeah.
We would not be able to keep up.
Even in
our
rural
industries
America.
here can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what happened last week with, rural America, the renewable fuel standard, which is hard enough to say if you're not drunk. Renewable fuel standard. But you've got Ted Cruz, who's fighting against, Senators Ernst and Grassley, who represent Iowa. Biggest corn-producing states, Midwest. Well, they want more oil, so let's take away the renewable fuel standard. So we're not going to nominate Bill Northey, who's the ag secretary, up for a USDA position, held that since October, just so he could get his way. Finally, President Trump says, you know what, we need to keep the renewable fuel the way it is if we want a cleaner America, and Ted Cruz is still kind of fighting it. But this is stuff that people are just kind of playing around with, things that impact a lot of lives here and a lot of industry here.
Yeah, and do you feel like, because we do this out of fun, right? You do it as a job. You were on KGAN for 15 years. Your whole life has been around media. From your perspective, how has the scenery changed from the time you got into it, and why did you get into media to begin with?
Well, I got into it. I was a young kid. We grew up listening to the radio. That was back in 1922. We had a little radio station up by where I grew up called KOEL, and they played country music. It was always on in the back of the room. I want to do that someday. I just want to, because I thought it was so cool to be on radio. Got a job when I was 15. I read the weather once an hour from Sunday noon until Sunday 6 o'clock. Like, hey, I'm on the radio. I'm not even out, not out of high school. I'm on the radio, ladies. Got $5.15 an hour, which we're like, oh, look at this. We've got my own money. I can go buy stuff now.
Any play?
What's that?
Any play?
Oh, you bet, man. I was the biggest deal at Fairway on a Saturday. I tell you what. And then that transitioned into, it was such a small staff where then I became the morning show host because the guy had done it left. I'm 17 hosting a morning radio show, doing play-by-play sports, for other teams. Meanwhile, I'm going to high school at Starmont, doing play-by-play for the Owine Huskies, and then moved to Cedar Rapids to start doing college and going to get an education. Got a gig at Channel 2 working master control. Behind the scenes, like, hey, ladies, I'm now working at a TV station, Then I became the biggest deal at the bingo hall. The age got a little younger. Every move, the age group got younger. And then I was doing part-time at WMT. I'd read the morning news for Leo Grieco's show back when he would do Sunday mornings.
Sure.
So I'm doing that part-time. I was working behind Master Control full-time. And I was like, I kind of want to stay with radio. So I left TV and did morning radio at WMT. But it was always music. I didn't have to worry about politics or anything. And we were doing a telethon for Channel 7. This is a very incestuous storyline of how my life turned out. Doing a telethon for Channel 7. They did the Variety Club telethon while I was doing the morning show on WMT FM, Mix 96.5. And it was me and a friend down at the Alliant Tower and the guy from Channel 7 up in Waterloo. And so we're doing it every Monday through Friday morning for a week. And the news director calls and says, people love you. Just the way you're on camera, the way you're joking back and forth. We want you to host the main telethon up here on the set Saturday night. with our co-anchor, and I'd like to talk to you Monday about coming in and being a reporter for us at Channel 7. Okay, great. That'd be kind of cool. Meanwhile, I'm still working on my degree. I'm still working on, communications and PR. And the news director from Channel 2 walked over that same day and said, I want you to do weather. I said, I'm not a meteorologist. I mean, I can point at maps. I've read the weather, but I'm not a meteorologist.
But you got the legs for it.
That's essentially what he said. He said, I don't need a meteorologist. I want someone who can present it and make it entertaining and not bore the hell out of people. I said, all right, sure, fine. When do you want me to start? Thinking he's just, blowing smoke up my butt, He said, Monday. Like, whoa, well, you were serious about this. I said, yeah, I want you to train Monday. I want you to start doing weekends. That's how it started.
Wow.
That is exactly.
Did you go to school for journalism?
I went for communications and PR.
Okay.
I got my the AA through Kirkwood. I have about a year left in my meteorology degree that I never finished.
All
so.
Right. Is that part of your goal to get done with that?
I don't know. I've been around it long enough now. I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm going to go into education or maybe become an airline pilot. You get to wear headsets like this every day if you do that.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. But what changed was, we didn't have social media back then. We didn't have the political climate like we had back. I was lucky enough. Even what I do now, I don't deal with a lot of politics because it's so contentious.
Right.
It's so, you could say one thing, but you're going to piss off half the other room,
Right.
In weather, the only thing you're going to piss off people if you cover up the prices right, or a storm warning, or if you cover up Big Brother because there's a tornado in their backyard.
Right.
That's the only group you're going to anger.
Right.
Which I brought some of my favorite emails along if we ever wanted to get into those about
good.
complaints and all that stuff.
Complaints
It's
about the
funny,
weather?
because you do.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the same thing. I remember being like, God damn it. Mm-hmm. We're in the middle of a show. What are they doing? And I'm like going, oh, yeah, it's lives.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. It's not about me.
Oh, yeah.
It's not all about you.
It's not about Todd all the time. So you went to...
I thought that was the name of this podcast, All About Todd
All
and the
About
other
Todd
guy.
And the other
Fuck
guy.
yes.
That should be a
That's a
show.
new title.
That should be a show.
You realize I'm going to loosen up tonight, and then when I go do a show, like, Monday, I'm going to start dropping bombs here, like, oh, God, this is what happened. Put
You
back
don't
the
have to loosen
delay.
up. It's okay. No, don't worry about it. But I like the fact that you had a journey. I think that's one thing we talk about a lot with people that we've interviewed on this show is everybody has this unique journey to get where they are. So you went to Kirkwood, then you go to Co or Mount Mercy.
And then I went, lucky enough, for Penn State University. They did an online study. There was Mississippi State and there was Penn State who offered meteorology where you could do it, while you're working, or essentially where you study abroad, where trust me, you pay the same amount,
right.
but you're doing it here. So I'm working, doing TV while I'm learning about TV. Okay. And I think what I learned, and having never finished the degree, having never called myself a meteorologist, what I learned was a lot more than I think you'd ever learn in a book. The everyday practice,
Sure.
the on-the-job stuff that people kill for once they get through the education. Did it for 10 years. Through a flood, most historic flood, through the most historic tornado, in eastern Iowa, boom, boom, right as I'm starting my career, and another flood and all this stuff. The experiences that people would have killed for, in their career. And that's how I started out learning, going through those in real life practice.
Okay. So you would consider yourself a meteorologist and a newsman more than you would like a journalist, or is that unfair?
I would say more of a news guy, more of a newsman, I would think. Weather junkie or news junkie, because I always like to know what's going on, and I like to interview people and get like what you guys do here, bring people in and tell me your story.
Right.
Instead of there are people who like to get on TV just because they like to see themselves on TV. There are a lot of those people out in the world. But I think the good people and the people who have a passion for it are the ones who do it because they want to learn about other people's worldview and experiences, and they want to hear how life looks through their eyes.
Absolutely.
Because I could bore the hell out of you telling how the world is through my eyes, but it's more entertaining if you hear it from, the guy who spent 20 years working at the Paramount Theater. When the flood hits, he's trying to hold the doors shut so the water's not coming in. That's a more compelling story than, I went to the Paramount one time and got to see the Wizard of Oz on stage,
Right.
That's, to me, is why we get into what we do.
Gotcha. I saw Gone with the Wind when it went color when I was a little kid there.
At the
they
Paramount?
they colorized Gone with the Wind, and my dad took me to see it because he thought it'd be really good. And then the part where he's like, God, frankly, my darling, I don't give a damn.
Frankly, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
There you go.
Yep.
And then
You can murder my family. You can ravage my body.
What was that? That's a movie. Not the Gone with the Wind.
But dear Lord, for all that's holy, don't destroy my plantation.
That's from Teen Wolf.
Sergeant, burn the fields. Yeah, that is actually from
It's
Teen
from
Wolf.
Teen Wolf. That's not Gone with the
It
Wind.
wasn't an exact
It was a great
quote,
job, though.
That was
but-
director's
Great
cut.
job.
That was
cut.
director's cut. Thank you very much.
Special features.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
the
thought I
scene
did
before
really,
that
he was
other
like-
scene.
I was really trying to get into it.
But I don't know
was
nothing
good.
about birthing babies.
So you kind of, I said that one time to him. I was like, "Damn, baby, you brought on them babies." Because he's got a lot of kids. So I like your path. I like that journey that you've been on. Do you? It sounds like you've kind of come a little bit full circle, though. So
Yeah.
you're now back to WMT,
Yep.
just doing radio.
Yep.
And so, what is your morning show kind of about? So people can hear more.
We
about
do.
It?
We're live from 9 to 11, Monday through Friday. It's called the Mid Morning Show, and because it's a morning show that's in the mid morning. See how that
great
works?
job.
Thank you. Can you get like one of those little ding stars, like star wipes and
You
stuff?
know what? In post production,
Yeah,
I'll
we'll fix that.
probably
It's the show that's in the morning. Ding. But it's all local. It's like when Mayor Corbett was the mayor, we did a weekly feature with him. All right, talk to me about what's going on in the city. But it wasn't tell me about roads and what's happening with it. It was like, Ron, how many people called you this week and said you did a horrible job as mayor? What's the biggest complaint you get? Stuff like that. We get. The gal Diana Nolan from the Gazette comes on every Friday and says, all right, what's going on entertainment-wise? What should we check out? Then we have just newsmakers, people who are or different organizations, or coming up later this week, we're going to have a family who they were in Des Moines with watching their daughter play the basketball tournament. Their family's house burnt down while they were in Des Moines. So we're going to have them on this week. Tell me about it. Tell me about being in Des Moines, getting that phone call, wanting to go home, but at the same time knowing your daughter is about to be on the state championship basketball team. Interviews like that. Luckily, I do enough of that where I don't have to worry about politics because I get to fill the show myself. So,
How do you stay away from politics? Is you just focus on the people that you're talking to?
That's.
Okay.
I mean, I had a chance to interview the governor a couple last week. I said, just put on my Facebook, said, hey, guess who gets to interview Governor Reynolds this week? And boom, 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 all these things on Facebook. Well, ask her about this. Ask her why she's doing such a terrible job. I'm like, no one said, hey, good job for you. It's all, tell her she's doing horrible and all this stuff. So
Right.
even just doing that on my own personal Facebook, I'm like, that's what happens even if you stick your toe in that pool. I mean, you're going to get pulled
Right.
in and Prana's going to jump on you. So,
Well, that's interesting too. Instead of asking a question like, "Hey, I'm concerned about this. Can you ask her why she decided to make this choice?"
Yeah.
To get some understanding of why somebody took a position.
Yeah.
Instead of just telling somebody their shit.
yeah,
You know
that's
what
what
I
it
mean?
was. That's what it was.
That's the hard
you know?
part. I mean, you got to have a dialogue, and you can't start out with a crappy comment. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to have dialogue, but at the same time, there's so much distrust
Yeah.
in everything. You know, there's distrust in government.
And it's also-
in the higher up government, there's distrust in what you watch on TV. There's distrust on what you read in the newspapers.
And you have
There's-
shitty attitudes. That's
only
what I
thing
think.
I
It
can-
is. It's
They
shitty
do.
attitudes.
You think
That's what
so?
it comes down to.
Who-
Absolutely.
Wait.
If you watch
Who has
Bravo,
the shitty attitudes?
people have shitty attitudes in general.
The people watching
Yes.
Desperate
So-
Housewives of Orange
Oh,
County?
yeah.
I'm just saying in general.
Great show, by the way. Love
I
it.
think
Wonderful
people,
show.
I
Very
think-
moral.
Yes.
You know what? It's almost
I learned
as good as
everything
Leave
I
It to
got
Beaver.
from them.
It's
for
a
sure.
religious experience that we watch it every Sunday at church. It's great. So.
Oh man,
Amen.
So
Can I have
painful.
an
Amen to
amen?
that. Dominus Sanctus Pactus Amanos.
Wow. That was really good.
Well done.
I don't even know if it's right. I have no clue.
Sounded good.
I just think it's shitty attitudes
Yeah.
because if you're gonna always gonna assume the worst, it kind of goes back to that. What's the something warrior? Why am I blank? It's,
What? Come on, baby. Come on.
No, like when
step it
Patty
up.
Scandal? Warrior?
no, Joe Rogan says it all the time. Something warrior.
Social justice
Yes.
warrior.
Oh, yes.
So no matter what side it's on, I consider those people social justice warriors. People who all they're gonna do is jump on the opposite side
Yep.
and
I'm
bitch
the,
about it.
I'm the victim. I'm the victim.
Yes,
I'm the
yes.
victim.
always. And so again, but what that does is it protects you from having to really search inside yourself to find out what part do you play in this.
Yeah.
That's what they're avoiding. And so instead of saying, "Hey, I was really upset she made this decision. Can you find out why she did that?" Mm-hmm. That gives me like, oh, so then I have to listen, and then I have to go, oh, okay, I understand where you're at now.
Yeah.
You get, and people have a hard time going, I completely disagree with you, but I understand what's happening. I understand why you made that choice. But you have to be able to be a tad reflective to be able to handle some of those
I think
things.
that's part of our problem, too, is no one takes that self-responsibility anymore. I mean, no one has they did this to me, or here's the reason why I'm justified in doing the way I'm doing. Nobody asks the questions. Nobody comes together. If you come together, it's seen as weakness now, or distrust, I guess. Disagreement, I should say. Disagreement is now a sin. I mean, you can't respectfully disagree with anybody anymore because, well, you're wrong. That's the long and short of it right there. There's no political discourse
And
at
the
all.
uncle who now says, that's just fake news. Come on, man.
Yep.
You know it's just fake news.
Yeah.
God, you can't have a discussion in your family anymore.
You know what, Todd? With all due respect, go fuck yourself. There's too much of that.
I knew it was coming.
Too much of that.
That I would rather somebody said
You
to
would
me,
rather
at
that?
least I know where they stand.
Well, exactly.
And they're not pussyfooting around. You know, hey, you're fucking crazy. I just completely disagree with you.
Yeah.
That would be at least be a genuine response to how you're feeling about something.
Yeah.
But the idea of going, that's just fake
That's
news.
fake.
I'm not even going to consider what you're saying. I'm not even going to give it the time to stop and say you're fucking crazy. I'm just going to completely dismiss it before I even give it a chance.
Okay, so do we, at this time, this juncture, do we hold media to a higher standard? I mean, of course, there's going to be goofball shows like this one, or just an entertaining satire type of show like the on the comedy channel. What's it?
Daily Show?
Daily Show.
Okay.
The
Yep.
sad part is I actually learned a lot more from the fucking Daily Show, which is satire, than anything else. But do we need to hold the news organizations to a much, much higher standard to say when they do report, they're not taking it from Joe Schmo, Joe Show the shit man on the street with his iPhone. We're like, what's your source? We've corroborated this 17 different ways. You can check all our sources. This is the story. This is the who, what, when, where, why, how.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what we have to expect to kind of get our trust back into news?
I don't know if you
and then
can.
we have to
with
totally
24-hour
separate.
news. 24-hour news screwed everything, I think.
Who sets that standard? Who was the stand? I mean, who sets up the precepts? All right. Here's the letter of the law in which you adhere to, and then at what point does that become an infringement of the First Amendment? That's where it gets tricky, you know. But I certainly agree. You know, if you want left leaning, you go to MSNBC and CNN. If you want right leaning, you go to Fox News, and that's okay. Everybody's got a place. There's a place, but you as a consumer need to know what you're watching and what you expect to get out of what you're viewing and listening experience is. But the problem is, all right, we set up these rules. All right, you have to have this source. You have to vet your sources, and you can't say outlandish things like this. When does it not become an infringement of that First Amendment?
Well, I think
that's where it gets so tricky.
Well, when you're doing something for the public, when you're reporting the news, the facts, like Sergeant Friday from back in the day. Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am. By the way, Nick, you're correct. I do sound smart. Thank you, Christine, and all the other people watching.
I'm kidding,
today.
Nick. Don't say.
But when you are holding a position, you have to hold yourself a certain way. The public only is going to respond to what they're missing out on right now, which is the who, what, when, where, why, how. Yes, you can have a slight slant to the news.
Yeah.
But it's still factually correct.
Yep.
Right? Well, you can't say you're fake news.
Yep.
Well, wait, hold on a second. Why am I fake news again? Like, actually hold our leaders accountable. When you call me out and you say this shit when I'm on the campaign trail, no, this was wrong, and this was wrong, and this was wrong. Have you ever heard of Watson?
Oh, the IBM thing?
Oh, God. You know what? I might be in love.
Oh, he won Jeopardy.
Yeah, he won Jeopardy.
They did a special Jeopardy with Watson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bing.
God, bam, right away. Did
you think that we weren't going to get that?
You know what? No, I knew you would because we've talked about this. But you, no, I didn't.
Okay.
But you know what you did?
He sounds very smart.
And now,
so I think we should be good.
We're
right here.
We got the ESP going on.
You might look out your window some night, and there might be me.
That's fine.
Staring back at you.
It's fine. I'll give you the garage code. There's always beer in the fridge.
So scary.
Oh,
Yes.
Cigars are just to the left
I
of the
go?
security system. Come on in.
done deal. You're not invited. Anyway, Why don't we because right now Watson is being used for cancer treatment, right? So it ingests all of the latest and greatest medical experiments, medical what?
Jargon or research.
Research. Yeah. Thank you. The latest and greatest studies, right? It can only ingest that as fast as it's coming out.
Yeah.
Whereas, the human brain, I don't have time for that shit. I got to treat patients. I don't have time to read up on the latest research. So they're comparing Watson's diagnosis with the doctor's diagnosis, and over 30% of the time, they're going with Watson's. Like, it's changing how doctors are treating cancer. And wouldn't it be amazing if Watson, or something like Watson, actually started being a part of our media, started to be a part of, and not so much I can only hear the truth, but Watson is in all these peripherals on your screen going,
bing, 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 wrong. But here's
so I'm going to go against you for a second,
fuck
okay?
your own face.
You
Go
you
fuck
still
your own face,
you
Todd.
still have to have the right sources going into this Watson to be able to have the right answers. So if you have studies, if you have medical journals and all these things that are happening that are clinically proven facts that are going into Watson's decision making, that makes complete sense to me. So are you only going to have stuff from the AP? Are you going to go with, RT? What is going to be the like non-judgmental media source that's going to be feeding Watson so he can decide what's true and what's not true?
Well, the very epitome of what Watson is and how he does his medical diagnoses is he.
That was
working very, very
that
hard
was
at
for
this.
Nick, wasn't it? That was for Nick
It was actually
watching.
for Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. No, it takes all these different things and compares it and comes up with a percentage, right? And then it goes with the highest percentage. Its answer is always going to be the highest percentage.
So if they had a news source, it can find 5 different news sources about that one thing and decide which one's more truthful.
Sure.
Okay.
If Justin was doing a report or a story on something, maybe that AI can find the 6 different stories that corroborate what you're talking about, and also the 6 different stories that corroborate that one story, and just kind of spiderweb out.
Yeah.
So
it's like
it's like
the twins in Good Morning Vietnam who are
At
taking
the-
all the
at the
information
AP wire,
and
yeah.
they're circling and crossing shit out that they don't want you to read on air, and then they're kind of they're the ones who are the deciders.
Well, let me
Yeah,
piggyback.
I need a decider.
Let me piggyback on that. You said, wouldn't it be great if we had Watson do the vetting? Wouldn't it be great if we had common sense and personal responsibility?
What is common sense anymore?
Give me a current example of that.
Perfect example. One of the local medias here had a story up on their website the other day, and you see it anywhere you go. I know you do on Facebook. You will have people who, let's say somebody puts a story up there. I can't think. Oh, the teacher returns to the school where the sexual harassment happened. Okay. You got all these people weighing in on their opinions. Well, I wouldn't put my kids there. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. And then you say, well, I heard this. Okay, there's an example. I heard this. And then you've got people who comment who haven't even read the story. They just get the byline and they go off on their own tangent.
Okay.
That's where you use your common sense. Like, okay, this doesn't seem right. That's when then you take it upon yourself to do a little research as well. Do what Watson does, but only for yourself personally.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice.
I know,
all.
but it'll never happen.
But it's
We're
hard.
lazy.
It's hard to do. One, it's hard to do it because I'm human. I'm fallible. I
Yep.
like the sexy beast.
Yeah.
I like to go with what's entertaining, right? I have a friend who lives in a certain town where there was some sexual misconduct that's happening. Not so much teacher to student, but just teacher in her own personal life. She got a divorce. Her husband posts all her, I hate to say shenanigans because that really
Tomfoolery.
That tomfoolery. Okay. All her naked tomfoolery.
Oh.
To the point, mind you, that every parent in the community sees it.
Oh, geez.
Every kid sees it. And my buddy's kid shows my buddy the video
Oh, my.
of said teacher
my.
banging herself
Oh, geez.
because her husband, she trusted
Yeah.
her husband enough to
Yeah.
videotape her and think this is never going to be released. This will never be held against me. So were you possibly talking about that? Because she has since returned to said community and is now trying to get back to her life.
No, but
that's
that's an even better story.
That's not legality, because the one you're talking about is a guy who was accused of inappropriate sexual conduct and was found to be innocent. But when it comes to schools and teachers, you're guilty until you're
anything
innocent,
anymore, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
I mean, but going to your story, the accountability should be held from a legality standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's I don't know. I mean, where do you even begin to unravel that onion, for goodness sakes?
Holy cow. Can you imagine? Like, one, I would be embarrassed. I at times...
I would leave the state. I mean, trust me. The pictures wouldn't be flattering. It'd be sad. I mean...
Never, you know what? Never at one time have I ever seen a porno and went, good on you, mate.
Good for you, pal.
Good for you, buddy.
God bless you.
Gosh darn it. You are the epitome of manliness.
Yeah.
I don't know if any lady has ever watched one and went, you know what? Good for you.
Good for you.
Good for you. You come and teach at my school.
Goodness. I want you to teach my students math and algebra.
You
and of course, the dad's like, oh, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, you carried the one beautifully.
That's like people saying that they don't want gay people to teach their kids.
I got your Common Core right here, but seriously.
Right?
Common Core. I got it. I hear you. I wasn't looking at you, but I caught it.
I felt it.
What were you saying, Todd?
Sorry, go ahead.
We were totally not thinking
we're doing a hell of a show over here, Todd.
If you want to join in, you're more than welcome to.
By the way, really quick, Nicholas thinks that Todd's face is fake news, and I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I think we agree on that.
Who? So do you?
Thanks, Nick.
When you go back to the people that inspired you to be on the radio, do you think back to the
great segue,
the Walter Cronkites?
No,
I'm getting it back on track.
It happens. It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
You have more segues than I do.
Well,
you'll be like, well, when I play with my balls,
hey,
I really enjoy
purple-eyed dragons and pink tails.
We really
was at the state championship.
I mean, we wouldn't be here without Mark Coney. I got to thank him.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Mark, hell of a guy. My parents. I mean, without them, I wouldn't be here.
Okay.
No, it's
Todd. Were you asking a serious question?
Todd's like,
are you okay? Do you need to take a?
No, you can
need some more water.
You want. No,
What
I'm
is
great.
that? Is that flavored water?
It's just sparkling water.
Is it ginger ale?
No, it's just water.
Perrier.
Yeah, it's just sparkling water.
Go ahead.
Anyways.
Perrier.
I'm sorry, my microphone squealed there for a second.
I meant
go ahead,
more of like when
caller.
we're talking about media.
Yes.
We had the Walter Cronkites.
Yep.
We have these people who were icons of people that we trusted to give us the straight scoop. And I want to say Brian Williams kind of screwed that for a little
Dan
bit.
Rather too. Yeah.
Oh, Dan Rather too. And Dan Rather was more of...
He was fed bad information.
Yes.
But he took the fall because he was kind of the buck stops, Harry S. Truman buck stops here kind of guy.
Right. And then he took it.
You know, yeah, he did.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
can't we look at that example and kind of hold that up on a pedestal and go, there's integrity.
Yeah.
There's one of those the buck.
Buck stops.
A lot of butt play in Matt's house.
Moon River. We used to.
Anyways.
To answer that, yeah, we used to. We used to be able to do that. But now we're so divided, and the vitriol is so much where if someone takes a fall, you know, they're going to be the outstanding, you know, good for you. But the other half of that population will be, well, good, you're a jerk. You didn't deserve, everything you did was crap anyway, you know? So I don't know. Where you find that balance?
You add the cynical aspect of our population. So the reason why Orange Housewives of whatever is so popular is that we like watching these people that are icons of our social media just do horrible things and go down terrible paths and make terrible mistakes. And we revel in watching these icons fall. And I think that attributes to the same exact thing. We're just in this to watch people do shit. Instead of worrying about ourselves, taking responsibility for our own lives, we want to go search out something else.
And everybody's a keyboard warrior. It's so easy to say things from the comfort of your keyboard or your phone where you can hide behind the screen.
Right.
You know.
And when I read like David Frum, who's kind of a conservative columnist, or Andrew Sullivan, who's kind of leans a little more conservative, I always enjoy them because they're extremely smart people. And I knew I was getting a different point of view. It was helping me understand because they weren't being cynical assholes.
Yeah.
They're being very thoughtful about what they were saying and saying, well, it might not be that way because of this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, it's kind of challenging my belief systems, but I'll listen to that. And now when I have these people who I kind of hold on a pedestal for being really bright people who are giving me their educated, ideas of what's going on, and hearing and seeing them tweet, and I'm just like, we don't know what the hell is going on. The Republicans are so screwed. You're going, wow, this is really bad. And you have conservative, thoughtful people saying, we're just not sure. I mean, Andrew Sullivan writes every other week, he writes, how are we going to survive Trump? How are we going to make up for what he did today or this week? Like he's making damages to America. He's just not sure we can recover from.
There are
I'm not
people
smart enough to understand
that I
it all,
interact with at the radio station who've been around for years, and I always ask them, not in a accusatory sense, but it's like, was it like this when Watergate happened? Because see, I wasn't around for that, but is this how it happened? Is this how it started to unravel? And the answer I always get was, there's a sense of that, but we didn't have the 24-hour news cycle. We didn't have you watched Walter Cronkite, or you watched Chet Huntley, or you watched Frank Reynolds on ABC, and that was appointment TV. You got the report of the world one time a night, at 5:30,
Right.
And that's what now. I mean, whatever you want to find, you can go out and find it. Which goes back to your point about where's that standard, and that's where the self-responsibility, that's where the own mental vetting that you've got to somehow find a way to do. And I know it's hard. I mean, because there are things passed off that, look like it could be so absolutely true, But we're just in a really shitty place right now, to be completely 175% frank, where up this week is
love
down.
your math.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's what happens when you don't finish the degree. That's exactly.
Core math.
But where up is down this week and left this week is right, but next week left could be blue, and it's not the same from week to week. Just it's crap.
But how do you hold people accountable? When you have somebody who is literally unwilling to say, no, the sky is not blue, it is purple. What is wrong with you? And you're saying, how can we even argue about this? How is this even a discussion?
Yeah.
Well, what I think is interesting is you say that, but if I were to go, nope, you're a boy because you have a penis, you would say,
excuse me,
you are an insensitive fuck, man.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, back in the day, maybe. But there's a lot of people who would.
Yeah.
And so there's a reality check that I'm like, wait a second, no, I'm pretty sure. I don't care if you want to call yourself Carol.
Yeah.
You want to change your name legally? These are rules that I can wrap my brain around. I can understand these things. Are you effeminate? That's fine. I can wrap my brain around that too. But for you to say, I have to think of you as a girl, well, then that doesn't make sense to me. I can't make it make sense in this head.
Yeah.
Or you could say, if you want me to call you Carol, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
If you want to consider yourself a girl, that's fine. But don't tell me I have to think a certain way.
Yeah. Is exactly my point on that.
And that's not insensitive.
Back to what we talked about with you getting into media and how have you seen things change? I mean, we have kind of answered it, but this is it. Social media has kind of taken over media and news.
The social media and the inflated sense of self. I mean, everybody is a brand now. Everybody has a social media because they want to promote themselves. And a prime example, I did weather for 10 years at Channel 2. And we go back to Parkersburg. Remember, I mean, worst tornado that ever hit Iowa. People were killed. And I remember vividly on Facebook, it was still relatively new, but it was out there, people complaining because we were on the air talking about tornadoes that had just ripped a town off the map and just killed people. And we were covering up an episode of Survivor because people down in Cedar Rapids and Iowa, quote, didn't give a shit because it didn't happen here. So why can't you turn it back on for them and just talk about the tornado for the TV up there?
Because we don't give a shit. As long as it doesn't affect
As long as
me.
it's not in my backyard.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's like, this is a path that we're going down. And now that's amplified. Everybody who has access to a bullhorn has it now, whether they should have it or not.
Now, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But hasn't this always been the case? I mean, back in the day when we didn't have social media, we didn't have instant communication across the country and around the world, and I didn't know what was going on in San Francisco because I lived in Iowa and I had to pick up the paper. I mean, when shit has been happening all the time, but now we're so inundated. It's so quick that we get news stories. I was frustrated about. In 2008, I was really frustrated with what was happening in the financial sector, obviously, right? And I was talking about how criminal this is. And my wife was like, why are you so worked up about this? Why do you care so much? I said, because my family, we are one medical fucking disaster away from being where those people are. And look how they're being treated. This tent city scenario that's happening. All these brand new houses that people are getting pissed off and putting cement down their drains because they're getting evicted because the banks gave them bullshit balloon loans. And now you have these huge areas that are just nothing but tents where people can't have anywhere to live. And now forklifts are going through those tent cities because the mayor of that city is like, it's a blight.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that stuff. I'm like, we could be them. But you don't care. I'm not saying you're a bad person, but you don't care, which is the norm, because it's not happening to us. Which is way terrible.
Well, and was
that really eloquent? That was super eloquent. That's way
that's
terrible.
really
Getting smarter all the time.
Really bad. I mean, that's not good at all. I mean, here's another one of those. You don't care as long as it doesn't affect you. But that maybe speaks bigger to we've lost empathy,
Sure.
We've lost empathy. We've lost common sense. We've lost, and I'm speaking in generalities. I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but we've lost a sense of humor, I think, too.
Yeah.
All these things ravel together into this big heaping turd, And now we're going to shine a magnifying glass on it even more with everybody having a social media and heat it up and suddenly the whole room smells.
Justin, did you want one?
I'll take one.
Goddamn
take
right
one.
you will.
I'm good now.
See, he's relaxed.
I
He
had
knows
too
what's
many
going on.
I had too many Canadian clubs.
By the way, I don't remember talking about butt plugs this episode.
That's next hour.
But for whatever reason, I am reminded that every time you listen, you hear butt plug. Well, there you go. I think I've said it 4 times. Butt plug. And if you don't have one that looks like a little horse's thing, then you're not getting creative.
This segment of the show brought to you by
butt plugs.
That's right. Somebody told
that
me
was
you can get
a little too
You
large.
can get them that have like a little bunny fur ball on the end of it.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, that's cute. Just in time for Easter.
Just in
Roll away the stone.
All right.
That
Justin,
was really great.
Justin, let me ask you.
Yes.
If you're special someone,
Yeah.
your lady.
Which I don't have.
You don't have.
I don't
Okay.
have.
Can I
But
just say
hypothetically, let's play
all
it
right,
out. Yeah.
Let's just play this out. Let's go with hypothetical. You meet someone special. She's super sweet. She's got a great voice and a beautiful smile.
Yep.
And then on her first date, she pulls out the bunny butt plug.
Say, hey, I got to go into work early tomorrow morning. I'm sorry I didn't work out. Yeah. I'd love to stick
that's
around.
A game changer.
It's a game
for
changer.
You. You're not having any of the bunny tail.
Because are you saying that he's going to use the bunny tail or she is? That could be a deciding
No,
factor.
I'm saying that she pulls it out because she wants you to put it in her.
Oh, I don't know. I've never been faced with that situation before.
All right. Well, let me switch it around
in.
again. Let me switch it around again.
Todd's already buying a house. He's like,
know
oh,
what?
this is the one. This is the one.
Justin.
Yes.
No judgment here.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, you're in a tree of trust.
This is the nest.
the nest.
This is the
This
nest.
is the nest.
The most amazing person you ever met in your whole life. I mean, it's just gangbusters. Mm-hmm. You feel like you found your soulmate. Mm-hmm. Your soulmate said, please, Justin, I have plenty of lube. Listen.
If I had a nickel for every time I've heard that.
I did make this table. I don't want to make another one. Let's not spit beer everywhere.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to make sure.
So you're not even gonna. I gotta get up early, hon. Sorry.
I don't know.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I guess I'd have to have that situation play out. I couldn't hypothetically sit here and tell you in real life. I don't know.
I'm buying the house.
You're buying the house.
Here's a car. Here's a house.
Well, I do have one of our listeners. Now, this subject has really ramped up the watchers.
Oh, God.
Because we have some suggestions, like, what about Astroglide? Would that be a difference? Would that be a game changer for you?
See, that's the thing.
I'm going to assume
I've
that
never
you
sat
use
around
it,
and said,
sake.
I wonder if someday I'm faced with the... I've never sat around.
Who the fuck are your friends?
We try not to let this
I say that shit
show
to him
become a
all the
juvenile
time.
playground.
You know
But
why?
we've already gone down
You
that
know why?
path.
Because I get texts from you. I'm like, hey man, are you ever going to text me back? What's going on? You got the questions ready to go for tonight? What's happening? I'm like, I'm knee deep in ass and pussy.
Hey. Which, by the way, that band is on stage next Friday if you want to be there. Spaghetti supper at 7, knee deep in ass and pussy at 10. Stop on by. It's a fundraiser.
Now that's a good show.
That's my podcast. That is my podcast name right there.
Knee deep in ass and pussy.
Knee deep in ass and pussy. Sorry.
Well, there's podcasts called Guys We Fucked, so
Yes.
I don't know why we can't have a podcast
and it's
called
very
Knee
popular,
Deep.
and it's a great show too.
Oh, we should just have a Knee Deep. That way we keep it a little PG.
You could talk about water. You could talk about places to go boating. You could talk about the best in boots. I mean, it's really not a limiting
the best
subject
waiters.
matter.
I
You know
totally
what?
agree.
I like it because it seems like it's a niche,
It is. It is.
but it's not.
Yeah.
Because you can go so many different ways.
We all know where we want it to go.
We know where we
But
want it to
that
go.
being said,
We all know where it's gonna go.
We all
I
know
mean,
where
you
it's gonna
know,
go.
you get in
Yeah.
that car and you know where you're headed.
I have
you
such
know?
good questions, and they just don't seem.
What? No, I want to hear. You know
Good
what?
to ask.
You know what? Just for shit.
Give me another one of those legendary segues. So who
Yeah.
did you after?
And so, by the way,
after
when-
Astroglide, so who got you into TV?
When you were practicing your green screen, when the cool airflow comes from the south and
This is horrible.
too much.
It's horrible.
You're horrible. Come on, I want to hear your question.
Yes, lay it on me.
Do you feel like there's any association or similarities between the fake news kind of culture we have right now and like yellow journalism from like the 1800s, where you had Hearst and Pulitzer out there just doing hyperbole and all this crazy shit?
Hyperbole.
Do you feel like there's anything similar to that?
I do.
This is the first time I've ever heard yellow journalism. Have you heard that before?
Oh yeah.
God damn. I swear to
like,
God.
the
You
new-
know what? You're fired as my best friend.
The
I
new-
want you to hang out with you.
Well, the new term is small J journalism. Instead
Small
of
J.
it's now journalism with a small J, because it used to be capital J journalism. That's what the newsroom was founded on.
Oh,
But
that's old
But I know
school.
exactly where Todd's going, and I do. And I think because you can, whatever you want to find and whatever news you want to back up your point can be found, and that's where it's so much easier to find fake news. I mean, going back to this overarching theme is so much can be labeled fake news. And it's not so much that, there's the news out there where the facts are completely misconstrued and out of context, but then there's a lot out there where the same story is presented with a right lean or a left lean just by changing the way it's set up,
Yeah.
And that's hard. And I just hate I'd rather somebody say, that guy's full of shit. I hated that article because this, and this. Instead of saying fake news, because then it just kind of is like such a wide brush you're painting with things that maybe it is fake news. But I want to know more about it, and I don't want it to be bent.
Yeah.
So, that's the hard part.
Tell me why it's fake news.
Yes.
Tell me why you think it is, and show me why it is.
Exactly. Because then you might have more people on your side.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You know what? Great point, Todd.
Oh, shut up. You just want to talk about lube. You just want to talk about lube and more anal stuff.
No. I would never do that. By
Yeah,
the way,
you would never ever do that. So I'm gonna cross out all my good questions. They don't
I
fucking
do want to
matter.
say one
They
of the
just
reasons.
don't matter.
One of the reasons, something that was brought up by Stanford University, they did a study. 82% of high school students couldn't tell the difference between actual news and sponsor paid news.
Yeah.
When you go to a news site, any site, if you're on Facebook or anything like that, and you're trying to find news, there's things that look conspicuously exactly like news, but it's not news. In fact, it could even be www.cbsnews.com
/AU or something like that. Yes.
exactly. And 82% of, let me see, the total number of students was 7,200 students.
I would say I might have a hard time with that. If it said www.cbs.com
.au or abcnews.com.au.
I would have a hard time with that.
I mean, the people who are putting the sponsorship know that, and that's exactly why they do it.
Well, yeah, they're ingenious fuckers. They're ingenious. And this
God,
is like the purest form of propaganda.
Exactly.
Right?
That is, yes.
Which, by the way, back in the day, if you ever watched Missing in Action 1, Chuck Norris, you sexy beast. Missing in Action 2, a lot of propaganda. You always had the Viet Cong recordings going over the loudspeaker of the prisoners of war.
Do you remember?
That was I always assumed.
Do you remember Baghdad Bob back in the Iraq War?
Yes.
The guy who was like, "Oh, there's nothing to see here. The bombs went off by their own," and all that stuff. People have compared folks in the White House to Baghdad Bob because of the spin and the selling and all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying they're right, but I mean, you can certainly see the storyline they're following. Like Baghdad Bob could be standing in front of a burning hospital and people hanging out the windows. "Oh, it was just a minor cold," stuff like that. And now you've got these people who are speaking on behalf of the White House. "Oh, everything's fine, nothing to see here." There's certainly similarities there.
And when they start kicking people out of the White House to like journalists who are there to who might question a thing or two. It's kind of like when they step up and they talk, and the journalists are called on in the White House and they ask a question, they just come back with shit. Like, sorry. I mean, I think that's why Jennifer McCarthy did the best.
Sean Spicer.
Sean Spicer.
Yes.
Because she just showed him as being an absolute pure bully.
And that's
to the
what
point
it
where
was.
to the point where his podium was a drivable, so she could run into people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally going to bowl you over with this podium because whatever you say doesn't matter. I'm going to cream you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so funny about it. And again, I just don't know. Sometimes I think Trump is really smart the way he does things, and there are other times he's been going off about Alec Baldwin recently because he just got a talk show, and he kept saying things like, "Worst TV show ever."
Bring back Daryl Hammond. He was a much better talent.
Alec Baldwin did a terrible parody of me on SNL, and I'm like,
he nails you.
He kills it. He got Emmy nominations, dude. Now listen, you can say that.
Whoa. Wait. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah,
unless it's Survivor.
Certain episodes get like nominations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Him doing the president. He got a nomination
because he did it so much. If it was like a one-time deal and it was funny, it wouldn't have, because he did it like over and over and over again, and he did it so well.
Anybody can get an Emmy. I've got one. That's true. Yeah.
What?
It's not for Alec Baldwin. I mean, it's
You should have brought it. That'd be cool.
I should have brought it.
Why are you getting cooler?
I don't know. Because you're hanging out with this guy. I mean, that's your standard.
You know what?
I'm kidding. I'm
Justin,
joking.
No, you're not.
He knows.
We're gonna have to reevaluate.
He saw right through me.
We're gonna have to reevaluate. And by the way, it's time for butt plugs. I'm sorry.
You gotta warn a guy when you're doing that.
Yes. You know what? I hear that. I hear that all the time. I hear that all the time. I yell out butt plugs. Hey, you're supposed to warn a guy.
Come on now.
And you're the one who came up with the rules. Rule number 1,
Rule
never
number
while
1.
I'm drinking.
That's right.
Rule number 2, never while I'm eating. And you blow it
Never
all
make
the time.
me laugh. Right. I apologize. There's a sick thing inside me. And I gotta let it out. I apologize.
Do you? I mean, I guess you're not in politics so much. I don't talk about it. But do you ever find it difficult to be neutral? To not have an opinion about it?
I try. I consider myself a left-leaning independent. Okay. Because I'm not one of those people who vote straight party ticket, be it Republican, be it Democrat.
Yeah.
I like to base my vote on the issue and on the person and how they present the issue and what their platform is on it. That being said, what I do as a living, even when I was doing weather, which had nothing to do with politics, I didn't feel comfortable putting campaign signs in my yard. I didn't feel comfortable putting anything of support on my Facebook page because I didn't want it to be seen.
Public figure.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be seen as an unintended endorsement. But I've got friends and family who are, in politics. My high school government teacher was a state senator for a long time. Great friend. I would call on him when I needed advice on stuff. Because hey, I'm talking about this issue. How would you tackle it? How would you present it? Give me the educator side of you. Don't give me the politician side. And I drove my car one time. I have a beautiful convertible. And I'm like, all right, we'll put the car in the parade. And I was like, here's a picture of me and my friend and his wife, and we got the American flags hanging out of my car. It looked great. And people are like, oh, you should be nonpartisan, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I just let a friend borrow a car for a parade, for goodness sakes.
Right.
Didn't anywhere say, I'm voting for this person, but that's where you can see, okay, maybe that could be misconstrued. That could look like me giving my support to that person. Which I didn't even live in the district and anything, but that's why it's just best. I like to do my politics in the dark, if that makes sense. You know, 'cause I feel like I have to.
I think they should just turn off the internet. I fucking hate it.
I think turn off social media, except for this
or,
podcast.
Or we learn.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Or
Justin.
we learn how to. Yeah, you're right. We're on Facebook Live. It's a stupid thing to say. But I mean, it makes me think that if you can't realize that it's a tool.
Yeah.
For communicating, or a tool to stay in touch with your family, that it now has to become this driver of ideas or drivers of opinions
or dissent,
yeah, or whatever it is, whatever ball of this horrible turd you just described earlier. if you can't find out what part you're in it and remove yourself, I mean, I got rid of cable because it was too expensive, but second of all, I just like, I didn't want to listen to fucking any of it.
Yeah,
I'm just done with it all. And I have Roku now, so I feel really really hip and trendy. But
really,
my parents just got that today.
Really?
They today just got Roku.
What the fuck is Roku?
Or they got
Educate
Fire
me.
Stick, which is the same thing.
Yeah, you just plug it in your TV and it gives you internet, or not internet, but TV channels. I got Super Bowl Sunday. I was walking in, I walked in Super Bowl Sunday into Best Buy, got it, went home, plugged it in, watched Super Bowl.
Boom. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Oh, do you stand when the Pledge of Allegiance is going on? National anthem?
Nope. I sing it. I was just talking to a friend the other day at church saying, she goes, when did people just start standing around when the national anthem was played? She goes, don't you sing the national anthem? I think, yeah, I always sing it when I'm
I always sing it.
there. And they're like, I was just so surprised. I just looking around, people just don't give two shits about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, but did you take a knee? Because then you're really fucked.
One of the coolest things is, I had a chance to sing the national anthem at the ballpark here locally for a few years. Let's say if there was a major accident and nobody could make it, they'd have me do it. But I've been down to Iowa City.
He's a jack of all trades, isn't he?
I'm a jack something.
A Renaissance man.
A Renaissance man.
A lot of people say that.
But one of the coolest things was being down in Iowa City, and they had it was the red, white, and blue game. It was the tribute to veterans, and you had all these veterans on field, and they're doing the band's doing the national anthem, and you could hear through the windows of the press box people singing the national anthem.
Awesome.
I mean, if that doesn't give you goosebumps and move you, you go talk to a doctor because there's sure as hell something wrong with you. That
And the
stuff.
jets flying over. It's a pretty tremendous
that is
thing.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do. But I understand why people take a knee. I get it.
Yep.
I get it. But I also understand why people are offended by that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. He's still thinking about butt plugs. I mean, that's the hard part
is.
about this.
You
You,
know
and
what?
I are having a serious discussion.
Yeah.
He's over here thinking about asses.
No, I wasn't thoughtfully doing that because of butt plugs. It wasn't the time. I got it on a timer.
Bing,
it's
bing,
not.
bing.
It wasn't the time. Now, butt plugs. No. It was interesting when you were saying that because you said, I totally understand. I understand where people are coming from when they kneel, which I feel like a lot of people lost that message.
Oh,
right?
sure they did.
When it was all happening. When Kaepernick first did it, there was a reason. There was a feeling that he was doing it for.
Because it's pride. It's American pride. You're cutting that down.
Yes, and it had nothing to do with the military. It had nothing to do with it. Why he was kneeling, the message that he was putting out had nothing to do with disrespecting the military at all.
Yeah.
And by the end of it all, by the time the Super Bowl happened, my jaded ass, butt plug, when I watched the person sing the national anthem, who sang it? Do you remember?
Pink, and she did a phenomenal job.
She's good.
It was reminiscent of Whitney Houston. Hand to God, swear to God, that's how I feel. It was a phenomenal job because she did that while barfing not even 10 minutes before.
Yeah, she
Wow.
was sick.
She had the flu.
This is what happened.
I was actually thinking of a different game.
Oh, I thought you said Super Bowl.
I did say Super Bowl, but I was thinking of a different game. What game was I thinking of? It was a huge game, and they had a black military guy singing the national
Playoffs.
anthem.
It was NFC playoffs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You saved me a little bit.
That's all right.
But I watched that, and I thought, yeah, who's going to take a knee when you got a black guys in military garb singing the national anthem? stack the deck much. That's what I was thinking, because I'm a jaded asshole.
Well, I think part of the reason why it was all lost was that, going back, we talked about earlier, you have to be able to say, why is that guy doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, he's doing that because he's upset about how some police officers are treating minorities in minority communities.
Yep.
You have to be able to say, oh, well, then I cannot understand that, or I don't even know about that. I'm white and I live in an upper middle class in an area, so I have no clue what he's talking about. I want to investigate that more. It takes thought and it takes effort to see somebody's point of view. It is extremely easy to say, see, some guy just doing, people just said that about the 68 Olympics when those guys put their fists up with black gloves on for Black Panthers. People thought the exact same thing about them. They just dismissed them as being these horrible human beings that showed how horrible America is when they were over in the Olympics. So it takes effort to be able to see somebody else's point of view and to understand what's happening. You can still completely disagree with it, but you have to be able to say, oh, that makes sense. I can see why he would do that. He's a black guy. He lives in some of those. He has friends and family that live in those areas. They've dealt with the kind of issues with police for a very long time. That's why he's upset about it. If you were a upper white middle class person and you were getting pulled over by the police all the time in your area, it might be on the forefront of your mind as well. And what would you do to do that? So I think the reason why it was so glossed over, and like you said, by the end of the Super Bowl or the beginning of the Super Bowl, nobody gave two shits about it, and the guy's been out of the NFL for a solid year and is by far one of the best quarterbacks that could be in the game right now. Still, it's just it's a glossed over idea, and people still to this point, if you say, "Hey, what do you think about Kaepernick, fucker?" Screw that guy. My brother's over in Afghanistan right now, asshole. That's immediate responses from people.
You know what I got from all that?
If you say butt plug, I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to go.
You know what? You're back in first place. You're back in being my best friend. Because, man, the knowledge, the hot
takes.
Facts.
100 people
you were
surveyed.
just throwing down with the hands.
Those were not
in the
facts.
Olympics, in the
those
year.
Were opinions.
And you were just boom, boom, boom,
My
boom,
opinions.
boom, boom,
Well,
boom.
and okay, let's move on to police and policing and everything. Because Colin Kaepernick goes back to this. I've been lucky enough where I've got friends, an ex-girlfriend, and cousins who are in law enforcement. And I could not want to fathom what they go through.
Sure.
Now, are there bad mechanics? Yeah, there are bad mechanics. Are there bad politicians? Yeah, there are bad politicians. Are there bad police? Yeah, I'm sure there are.
Yes.
But I'll be damned if 9 times out of 10 where we are, these are people who are going out there protecting, making sure you and I and you don't have to worry about things. And they're the first people that are going to show up when we call for help.
Absolutely. He's got a cop across the street. Great guy.
Yeah. I mean, I dated a cop for a while. I couldn't believe. She was very little too. I mean,
really?
I'm glad she's holding a gun, but
she didn't win Survivor. She didn't win
no,
Survivor.
No.
I'm with you though. I used to work at the Foundation 2 here in Cedar Rapids, and I remember this little gal was getting out of control. This kid, and they're like, "Hey, listen, if this continues, we're going to call the police."
Yeah.
And this little cop shows up. This little gal, and my first thought, this is horrible, was like, "What the hell is she gonna do?"
Yeah.
And so, and I mean, literally twice as big as she is, right? Mm-hmm. And she kept, did a great job of de-escalating this gal, but she's like, "Listen, I'm gonna have to handcuff you if you don't get yourself together."
Yeah.
And before I could even blink, she had this chick on the ground handcuffed, and I was like, "Oh." I changed my complete opinion. I'm sorry I even thought those things. That's
you got
crazy.
a little Woody, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I got one just hearing about it.
Complete respect. I was like,
you know what?
Shit.
You might be back in first place. I like it how you keep it real.
I do. I mean, but yeah, it was...
Because I didn't pop a boner by watching a female cop show me how good she was, I'm no longer your best friend.
Oh, now you're the moral compass of the broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Right.
I forgot we had shift change here at the top of the hour. My bad.
By the way, I don't know if my ex-bestie told you that the show is 2 hours. If you got to go.
Oh, no. We're fine.
You sure?
No.
You positive?
I'd stay here till midnight.
Well,
seriously, I'm enjoying this. This is very real. This is very authentic. I enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate that. That's the whole point of the show.
I enjoy it.
That's what we like to do. That's what we want. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you have to like cater to your audience, we do for ours?
I was gonna say
He's
something.
talking about butt plugs.
I was gonna say something authentic and real.
We're back
and
here in
deep.
Vegas, hour 7 of the telethon now. We've got Jimmy Durante coming up, but first let's go to the phone bank, shall we?
Have you seen the diamond encrusted butt plugs? That's the real question. Go ahead.
Painful.
I'm sorry.
What?
I didn't even bring up the. I didn't do it.
Go ahead.
I didn't say anything about it. No. I want to know what you had to say.
Go ahead.
No,
You know
mine
what?
wasn't important.
You're
compared to
the
yours.
star. I'm the face. You're the star. I'm the face.
I'm the shadow. I am the shadow. I was just gonna say, do you ever feel like you have to like? Do you feel like you have to cater to your audience, or is your show something you're just like presenting information or presenting
That's how I
people,
feel. I feel even when I did TV and now moving back to radio, what you saw is what you got. And there was no fake, I'm going to talk to you like this because I'm on TV, and I'm going to talk to you like this because I'm on the radio. I am a farm kid from Iowa who was lucky enough to be able to work at a TV station that had Dr. Max, and I appreciated the history there. And I'm a farm kid in Iowa who's lucky enough to work at WMT, which has been around since 1922. And you look at both of those things and all the opportunities that have been afforded me with those jobs, I'm pretty damn lucky, And sometimes it's overwhelming that you're on the biggest radio station covering 5 states, where so much history has gone on. And to that, I want to go circle back for you. One of the questions you asked me was one of the people, the people that got you into this. Dave Town, who was on Channel 2 for years. Mm-hmm. Dave is a close personal friend. Dave, let's see, Ron Steele, who was at Channel 7 for years. These are people I grew up watching,
Right.
And to be able to call them friends and colleagues and call on them and, we run into each other and stuff like that. That is what I enjoy, and that's why I do it, because there are really good people here, not only from the listener and the viewer standpoint, but the people who have been here for such a long time that, when you get into broadcasting, you give up events with your family. You give up nights, like say your daughter's in the school musical. You're not going to be able to see that. If your kid's running track or playing Friday night football, you're going to be sitting behind an anchor desk. You're giving that stuff up. But they're there because they have a passion for doing what they do. Trust me, there could be so many damn other things people who you see every night could be doing. But they've chosen this path because it's a passion. They want it. They care about the people that they serve. And that's what I care about what I do. I'm a guy who just tells some jokes, but tries to bring relevant information in and bring people who are worthwhile and people who deserve that chance to step up to the mic and tell their story. And it's very much, it is what it is. You take it or leave it. It's not going to pretend to be something else to try to get this group of listeners here, or it's not going to pretend to be this because I want people who are really keyed into politics to listen to it. You're either going to like it or you're not. That's kind of where I feel about it.
And that's a real Midwestern point of view.
Really?
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very Midwestern point of view. It's not trying to pander to anybody in particular. It's presenting information. If you're interested, you're interested. Good for you. If not, I think that's why Prairie Home Companion was so popular for so long.
Yeah.
Because, that was purely Minnesota, Midwest, and it's the wackiest thing. And then you had people make a movie. You had Meryl Streep be in it. It's like
Lindsay Lohan, Woody Harrelson was in that.
It was awesome, awesome. And then I feel bad now that they're all those shows are pulled off the internet now. It's terrible, but I have
no fucking clue.
You're welcome.
What you're talking about? Right
Prairie
now.
Home Companion. Was it a Sunday night or a Saturday night?
It was a Saturday night Minnesota Public Radio broadcast, old time radio show.
Okay,
they had
sure.
band, they had skits and everything.
Yeah.
Garrison Keillor, who was author, and he hosted it for years. It was as big as what Leo Grieco was in Cedar Rapids on radio. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was
if not
a big
bigger
deal.
because it had a nationwide audience.
And I listened to it with my dad in the car when we would drive. He would play because they show reruns all the time. Because back then NPR was not as
Yeah.
had lots of gaps in their airing of things. But I used to hear that all the time, and I used to just love it. And
it was so folksy, it was so down home and real.
I just don't like the fact that it's gone.
Yeah.
I understand the issues with Garrison Keillor. He's part of the hashtag Me Too stuff. He's allegedly sexually harassed somebody.
Yeah, I guess.
So they pulled everything.
Allegedly. That's That's the biggest fucking problem right now.
Well,
is
and I don't know enough
allegedly.
about
It's
it.
just like Trump saying, "Take the guns. We'll worry about due process later. We'll worry about the truth and the facts, all that stuff later." You can't ruin somebody's career. You can't ruin somebody's life. You can't ruin somebody's name and then go, we'll prove it later.
Bill Cosby. That's probably the one that started all this.
You know what? You're right.
Well, I'm not saying
you know what? You might.
But he
be
was
right.
the first one that
you
went up
might
on the
be
stake.
Right. I say OJ. In fact, in front of that, I say Scott Peterson.
Yeah.
Because the situation happens. They find a body, Scott Peterson in particular. You find the wife. She's pregnant. Here's some troublesome news. Here's some troubling facts about the husband. Boom. Fucking guilty.
Yep. Burn him at the stake in the town square.
Exactly. And that was really to me, that was the first time I noticed social media really, 24-hour news networks really just crucifying a fucking man at the right before the trial even starts. I mean, there's no way you're having a fair trial, an unslanted trial. O.J. Simpson, same thing. Is anybody going to look at O.J. and think, dude, come on.
Yeah.
One, you could have got your hand in that glove. If the glove don't fit, don't acquit.
Don't
Come on now.
Must have quit.
Let's go. You probably did it. There's so many people thinking you probably did it, right? But it's not fair. We're not taking into account the fact that we are ruining people's lives.
Yeah. Ryan Seacrest is the latest right now.
Right now,
as we speak. He has been accused
of rubbing a hard penis. No butt plug against his stylist.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought, and can I be honest with you guys?
Do it. I thought he was gay.
I thought Seacrest was gay.
Is that what you were just going to say?
I was just going to say that.
I just thought that.
Are we best friends now?
We're back.
We're best friends now, aren't we?
This is like a tennis match. You really need to bring up your game. I really enjoy you. You know what? Anytime
He's
you
like
wanna-
the John McEnroe.
just so that I don't forget later, you can come on anytime.
You got it.
All right.
You got it.
All right. So you thought.
I thought that Ryan Seacrest was gay. Great for him. I have no problem with that. Good for him. But I really thought that he was gay.
But at least metrosexual.
Oh, yeah. Well, then, okay, let's go to...
Which has nothing to do with sex.
No. Kevin Spacey, who is gay. Who's now gay, who's now come out as gay. Allegations that... My question to both of you guys is, would we have found out about this had it not been brought out in the public light? Matt Lauer, today's show. We heard some pretty virile shit from him. You know, the lock under the desk and all the stuff that... Would we have heard about that had it not been brought up in the public light?
You know, the whole... I have a slant on the whole lock. I apologize.
You're fine.
If there's a button under your desk, is it there to lock the door because you're a fucking perv? Or is it there because, you know what, I don't want to get up because I'm an important person. I don't want to go walk across the room and lock the door because I don't want to be interrupted.
Or is it if some weirdo comes into NBC and says, I want to talk to Matt Lauer, and they're holding a gun? There's another hypothetical.
Sure. But none of those things have been presented.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And I'm not trying to be a Matt Lauer apologist or supporter or whatever. All I'm saying is, can we please, for a moment, not think that everything is about, by the way, I have a button to rape you with.
Yeah.
Butt plugs. Do you know what I mean? Guys are going to be, first of all, let's be real. Guys are going to be guys. We have wants, we have needs, we have flirtation. There's healthy flirtation and unhealthy flirtation. And I can say something to a lady and she takes it maybe well.
Yeah.
Todd, being the grotesque person that he is, says the exact same thing, doesn't take it so well. She doesn't take it so well. And she thinks he is sexually harassing her, whereas I am saying the exact same fucking thing. You know what? I digress. Let me be the hag for a second. Todd is the Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make any fucking difference. The words and the context are the exact same.
Yeah.
It's all about how you're taking it.
And the interpretation.
Yeah, the interpretation.
Yeah.
So, is it really the idea that we? I don't want any lady to be raped.
No.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's start at the worst. I don't want anybody to be raped. I don't want anybody to be sexually.
No one should have their self-worth questioned, by either themselves because of a situation or because of a situation.
Right.
I think that's probably a good blanket statement there.
Perfect.
You know?
I don't want anybody fired because they go, Hey, by the way, HR, Ryan Seacrest keeps rubbing his hard cock against me while I'm trying to get him ready for your fucking TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, you fired!
Yeah, done. I mean, there's got to be a process.
That ain't right.
Yeah.
So I can see where, if this was happening, I can see why she would want to sue, or she would want to bring this up. But it happened back in 2013.
Yeah.
Which makes me a little bit. Well, why didn't we hear about it in 2013? Why didn't you
and then that opens up a whole other can of worms.
Back in 2014. You know? Why are you just getting on the bandwagon now?
Yeah.
So that makes me a little.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
Let me, as an unmarried single man.
Oh, I love it.
Hello. I will meet somebody. I'm sure I will flirt with them, but under the wrong eyes, will that be seen as sexual harassment? You know, that's a real worry that I have now.
Now you have that worry.
I have that worry. I mean, I think I've been raised. I've got good parents. I've got a great family. But is there something? Am I going to make a joke? Being me, you know, being the 34-year-old Justin that I am, making jokes.
And you know what? I don't change anything.
But thank you. But is there something now in this climate that I say that, you know, is that going to be taken the wrong way? And all of a sudden, there goes my career, there goes everything I've built up. There goes my brand because of something.
But also because of the position you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what the bigger deal is.
Well, you have a position of power. And what I would suggest to you, this is what I'm teaching my boys right now. Instead of saying, say my name, bitch, which my boys are 11 and 12. So I'm starting them early.
Good.
I just want to slowly
get it
ease
ramped
them
up.
into it. Ease them into it. Don't say, boys, say my name. Don't say that. Just say, yes, indeed, I do want it. Say it again. Yes, indeed, I do want it. And just say it like a mantra, baby. Just say it like it gets me hot. Like we're gonna have to change. We're gonna have to change what sex is and what foreplay is. Instead of saying say my name, say daddy. Oh, daddy, yeah, you're bad, daddy. Instead of saying crazy shit like that, like we're used to seeing in porn, we're gonna have to. Where there's gonna be porn that's like, yes, I consent. I love everything. Say it again. No, say it again. No, I do. I consent.
Never understood why those are an hour long. They should only be 9 minutes long. Let's be honest.
9 minutes.
I mean, let's be honest.
4.5 at tops. You don't need 9 minutes. Come on,
that's
Justin.
you want to go.
You want the plot? You want to know what the plot is?
Here's
you want
the
climax and the
exactly.
downplay?
Well, I tell you what, guys, I really like the costumes. I really like the presence of the actor. I like to get in with the ladies and understand their motivation. Their inside child.
Yes, exactly.
That is weird, wacky, wild stuff. I did not know that. I did not know that, Ed.
That's pretty good.
Wow, that was really good. You know what?
It's my backup plan.
I like old porn better than new porn. I remember like seeing porn like guys jogging down the beach and some girls laying out naked.
Back to butt plug, baby.
And he's like, "Hey man, how you doing? I'm good. You want to fuck? Sure."
Okay.
And then next thing you know, you're on the pool table somewhere.
Yeah. No.
Nowadays, it's not like that at all.
Well, and that's how affluent we were in the 70s. Everybody had a pool table. There was an organ in every house. You're ordering pizza on a Wednesday. Now we can't do that.
You know what's weird? Back in the day, at least back in the day when I was a kid, every porn was in a mansion.
Yep.
Or a jail cell.
No in between.
There was no in between. It was either... Yeah, but now it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it can have every single weird niche to it. You got grandpas, you got stepmoms, you got...
Is now a bad time to mention I'm an organist for a Catholic church locally? Let's put a pin in this and save this, just to save me.
You know what?
Yeah,
Justin,
let's do that for
you're
Justin.
pure as the driven snow, and that's what I really enjoy about you.
Well, I have my next segue question right
All
here.
right.
I'm ready for your segue.
Go ahead.
I'm just kidding.
Bill in Schenectady, you're on the air. Good morning.
So, of all the shit we talked about, what do you think is the media that's going to be south first? That's going to be gone.
Well, I mean, people...
Is it all Facebook and no more? You're not going to have
Dude,
any more
it's
things?
so hard
I
to
think-
take you seriously right now.
Well, what
Go
the
ahead.
fuck you want me to do?
No, you're trying. You're giving
am.
it the old college try.
I'm
It's
Todd.
better than
I'm
the
with
college try.
I'm with the local paper. God damn it, take me seriously, please. I got a question, just one. Let me get it. Yes, to your question. I think there's too much money to be made in social media for it to be clamped down. I mean, you're seeing ads pop up all the time now.
I mean, you think the Gazette's going to go away? Do you think print media is going to be gone? What do you think of
I think eventually print media goes the way of all online. I really do, because you can still keep a staff. And, I mean, I've got friends who work in the Gazette. I mean, great friends who work there, and I know their staff is getting smaller. Having worked in a TV newsroom, I know those staffs are getting smaller. Having worked in radio, I know everything is getting smaller because of this. I mean,
right.
You know, we can do so much. TV can be done with phones and stuff now. I can't sit here and tell you what it's going to look like a few years from now, but just imagine what it looked like a few years ago. You know, how much it's changed. I mean, you used to walk into TV newsrooms, and they were robust. Radio stations, 80, 90 people, you know, that were on the air. There was live programming. I think the first thing that will change is probably going to be print, because, yeah, you're going to have that small group that still wants to get their hands on the paper every Sunday morning.
Right.
But so much of it is done now. You know, how we watch TV now, how we listen to radio now is all on phone.
Well, and I just wonder, too, if, like magazines, I still like getting magazines at my house. Mm-hmm. And I like having my kids read them.
Yeah.
But if it's all going to go away, I don't want my kids on their phone all the time. But if that's the only way they can get their media, I'm almost like cutting them off from a source of information almost. Or at least it feels that way. And either you cut TV or you cut cable. Again, it's all just goes south from there. But I think you're right. But I mean, do you think cable's going to go away?
I don't think cable's going to go anywhere. I think the number of people subscribing to cable will go down, therefore justifying changes to it in the business model. But I don't think that it ever goes away. I mean, even people still use trains, you know.
Right.
Those are still around. People said that radio was going to go away once TV came out. Radio's still in every car. You know, you get in every new car, there's still a radio there. But now I just got a new car a couple days ago. It's now got where I sync my phone up to it on Wi-Fi, hit the stream button. I got the app right in my phone that's connected to my car, you know. But that's still based off the radio.
Interesting. So you think radio's going to stick around for a while?
I do. I think it will stay in its... There's something about having local small-town radio. I mean, you go anywhere in Iowa, there's a small-town radio station up in Manchester. There's one in Dubuque. There's one up in Waukon. That what they do, if the local curling team is playing on a Thursday night at the Knights of Columbus Hall, radio station's there covering it, you know? If there's a parade, high school homecoming parade, the radio is going to call the play-by-play of it.
I remember my dad used to listen to the Olympics on WMT, because we would get it would be like was it the morning after or that night of, would keep you up to date on what was happening, because it was time shifts were always somewhere else in the world, so to speak. But I mean, you're right. And maybe that's another thing too. It's a Midwest thing.
Yeah.
I can't think of like radio stations or things like that. I'm from the Bay Area, and those radio stations are kind of going away too.
But that's still if you're in a car and you want to know what's going on instantly, you're going to dial around, because you don't have access to the TV. You know, bad weather comes in, where's the first place you go?
Radio.
Yeah. You know, you'll get the alert. Okay, oh my gosh, there's tornado warning. Got to turn on the radio. Or if you're near a TV, then you go to a TV. But so many of these are radio. I don't know, for us specifically at WMT, we partner with the TV station.
Right.
You know, so you're watching the TV by listening to it on the radio because of an alert you got on your phone.
And also, even when you have like cable, sometimes the weather's affecting the cable, and so you have to go to the radio.
Yep.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was like, oh, yeah, get an alert on your phone, go to the TV, and the TV pixelates. You're like, oh, well, I guess we got.
Well, and for phone, I mean, I know specifically for iHeart, you know, with the company that owns my station, they've got the iHeart app, but you're listening to radio stations, commercials, jocks, and shows on your phone. So it's still radio, but you're just consuming it through a new medium, which is the genesis of what I do, and more so what the broadcast industry does now. It's just a different way to consume what they've been doing for years. You know, newspapers the same way.
So in a way, radio's almost been more adaptable than other areas because you can still get it on your phone.
Yeah. I mean, and
point.
TV's coming along too. I mean, you can get alerts now, like breaking news. You hit a button. All right, now you're watching Channel 9 or you're watching Channel 2 or, you know, you're watching CBS News. If they're doing a special report, you know, you got it right in front of you here instead of having to rush home and watch in front of the TV.
That's been a bigger shift for me as an older man. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I can watch a movie on this thing?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta be shitting me.
Oh,
wait till you find out you can beam it from your phone to your TV. That's a game changer.
when you can just zip it.
Yep.
Right.
Zip.
Is that Apple that does that? Apple
Yeah.
TV, you just do that? Okay.
Or Chromecast, you can do that too.
Okay.
Or
they're
just
gonna
on your
send you a check
smartphone.
now.
Or just on your smartphone, you can be watching something. I like to watch this adult thing. my phone. Anyway, I can just hit this thing and it syncs up to my smart TV.
Yep.
Because I'm smart.
That's darn right.
Bam. I just can't do it when my wife's home or the kids or when the shades are open.
And that's through your smart TV?
Yeah, because your smart TV can hook up via
Bluetooth?
Yeah, Bluetooth, or VizLink or whatever they call it. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, really? I haven't even tried that yet.
It's not just Apple TV.
No, you
I'm
can do it
way
any
behind
TV.
the times.
Yeah.
Way behind the times.
You're kind of, but you know what? It's good because your lady reads to you. Seriously, out loud, she reads to me.
Really?
Yes. They'll share a book.
Dear Penthouse Forum, you will not believe the event in quandary I just found myself in. I was driving to the beach one day.
You know what? If only they could read. You know what? It would be kind of cool if you said we read some Shakespeare to each other. I would have such a wonderful visual for years.
Could you imagine Johnny Carson reading a Penthouse Forum letter?
Dear Penthouse Forum, Ed and I were in the Bucklands, and there's a buxom blonde who had come up, and just Johnny Carson reading nothing but like and the cheerleaders team bus pulled over.
I am supposed to ask you
What?
from one of our listeners. Thank you
Yes.
very much, Nicholas.
Hi, Nick.
I'm supposed to ask you about your mower.
It's your neighbor.
It probably is. Okay. I'm a lazy bastard. No, I love having a house, and I mean one of the prides of as you grow up, you want to have a house, you want to have a great job, you want to be able to have nice things. Last year at WMT, we had an outdoor living show, which is coming up, by the way, next weekend if you want to come out to Hawkeye Downs. But seriously, one of the vendors there was a business down in North. Can I say the business name? Do you guys mind?
Sure, go ahead.
Jan's Small Engine and Repair down in North Liberty. It's mowers and stuff. They had this robotic lawnmower. I'm like, okay, this is too good to be true. I mean, it's the thing mows your lawn. So I'm like, I want one of these just to see if it works. And we worked out a deal where I spoke for the company, and then I got a huge discounted rate to buy one of these robotic mowers. So what they do is they put like an invisible fence around my property, and then this mower that has no engine other than a little, goes out on a schedule. I can set it on my phone, and it mows every other night from midnight to 6 a.m. I have not mowed my lawn since March of 2017.
That's awesome.
The mower goes out, mows within the confines of my area every day. I mean, every other day. So it's just taking a little bit off each day. So it looks like a golf course, and I'm not having to go out there and mow it.
We have to see this.
I don't know.
I want to see this.
It is.
I don't know if I.
Oh, it's so cool. It makes no noise. It's like crept up on people. Like if you're walking in my sidewalk in front of my house.
Fuck kind of torture. That's like a Halloween place. Like you're walking along. Hey, look, there's Justin Roberts. My ankles, my fucking foot. It's gone.
It would stop if it came up to something. Like if it saw like it ran into your shoe, it would stop because the blades are under. It's not like the blades are out like a regular lawnmower. It's got 3 little baby blades that spin around.
What?
I want to see
It's
this
like
thing.
a Ryobi. No,
It is.
It's
a
a Ryobi.
Roby.
As Roby?
It's like
Roby?
what
It's
are they
like
called?
one of those
Roomba. It's
Roomba.
It's a Roomba. That's
for
what
your
it is.
lawn.
It is a Roomba with blades.
Get the fuck out of here.
Dead serious.
That's awesome.
Wow.
It is awesome.
Do you did you and Doug Thompson like go back dueling voices?
I love Doug. Doug, when I wasn't renewed from Channel 2, that's what happened. I had a contract. It's a thing in broadcast. But Doug came over to WMT a few weeks later. He's like, I wanted to go up there, and first question live on the air is asked him where Justin was. I'm like, oh man, you'd never be welcome back. Doug does amazing voices. I love Doug's Christopher Walken.
Oh, the best.
I will literally
really
piss
good.
myself.
It's really good.
Just because he is so great and just a genuinely good guy. I'm assuming that's where the mower question came from. Now that his name has come up,
that came from Nicholas. That came from Nicholas. Your friend hypnotized me, and allegedly I put on a pretty good show.
It was
man.
fucking fantastic. I mean, I haven't laughed that hard, genuinely laughed that hard in a very, very long time. Now, I'll be full disclosure. As soon as Doug started calling people up, I just went right to the bathroom and just stayed there until I heard his name. And when he said, "Get up here, Matt, I see you out there," I was like, yes, I can walk back to my seat. I'll be fine. But I tell people about it all the time because when Doug was on our podcast years ago, the first time, he put him under very quickly.
Oh yeah.
Well,
And
that was after the show. That was after the show. We were walking upstairs and we're like, "Oh, so you've been put under before?" He's like, "Let me do a little test. Put your thumb. Do this thing. Do this thing. All right, now you're trying to hold your thumbs apart." And I was like, he goes, "All right, just relax."
And then he puts his hand on his shoulder and starts saying something, and he goes, it just starts nodding out. Oh wow! It was awesome.
Yeah.
I've never been hypnotized. I don't know if I could allow myself to do it. Just because
that's just it.
I got secrets, man. I mean, I know where some bodies are hid.
But you wouldn't. But you didn't do anything that you wouldn't want. He makes a big deal about that.
That's
saying,
true.
Nothing's going to happen that you don't want to have happen, and that's why I appreciate it.
You know what? I would liken it to if you were the type of person who is somewhat reserved. I don't know. I'm not reserved. Even when I'm sober, I'm not really that reserved. But if you're the type of person who is very not, I'm not saying this
Unreserved.
right. If you're somebody who's like just let it fly when you're drinking, you've had a few drinks, but you're not. But you remember everything. You're not like one of those blackout people where you wake up the next day and what happened?
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that you have a few drinks. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care, Mom. Yeah, I'm jerking off at 2 a.m. It's just one of those weird things. It's like it's like doing this podcast. Once you realize, like doing the podcast, you're like, all right, it's out on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm a little verklempt.
Yeah.
I'm a little. I don't know if I should say this.
Yeah.
And then there's some freedom, just saying, you know what? I don't care. Yeah, this is normal.
Yeah.
And I don't fucking care. Go ahead and judge me. And then you go Facebook Live. And then you get a little nervous again.
Yeah.
And then you relax. It's kind of the same thing with hypnosis. Because I've been hypnotized a few times. One in Vegas, one with Doug Thompson, and both times super inappropriate.
Yeah, I think there's a pattern there.
There is a pattern, but I remember almost everything.
Yeah.
And I would liken it to how I feel and react if dared while super drunk.
Okay.
Like, you know
So
what?
inhibitions are lowered, kind of.
Yeah, inhibitions are lowered, and you're just like, fucking, that's okay.
My favorite part of the show wasn't necessarily anything appropriate, but Doug said it was. He goes, so when I turn around, you're gonna see me. They're all on this beach, right, in their heads. I have an extremely small penis, and it's gonna be very funny. You're gonna have a hard time not laughing at it, right?
And God bless Doug. That's real life drawing into entertainment, and God bless him for doing that.
Yeah, taking real life situations.
Taking life imitating art.
The best part was he was going, he kept looking at it and going, oh my God, this is crazy. And then Doug turned around and goes, now when I turn around, I have the biggest penis you have ever seen. And he turns back around, and he's putting his hands like this, going, oh my God. And like it was this long. I was just the best. It really made me feel like, so he really is thinking that he's seeing this.
That's amazing, though.
It is
that
cool.
kind of mind control. Bob
Absolutely.
Hope was accused of mind control. I don't know if you've ever Bob
Really?
Hope, like this mind control where there were women, and they would say words, and the women would turn into like sexual slaves and stuff like that. Bob Hope and Jerry Lewis was another one. And
I thought it was just a charisma.
well, I mean, thanks for the memories. But there's this whole line. I mean, if you're out there right now, once you get done watching this, Google Bob Hope mind control. It will freak you out. It's just amazing. Going back to fake news, you're looking it up right now. But it's just Bob Hope, like Mr. Go out and do everything for the troops.
Right.
Bob Hope was
Mr. Golf
accused.
Club.
Mr. Golf Club, was accused of that.
Now, would that be labeled today? Would that be in the category of
Fake news.
well, not
Or
sexual pervert? Would you be today's Bill Cosby?
probably. I probably. If the accusations were true. But
What
How
happens with like groupies? There are still musicians out there who get ass all the time.
Yeah.
Women throw themselves at you, and all they want to do is fuck you. And
Yeah.
so, what
I
is the
know.
difference between that and
Like every time
sexual
we do
harassment?
a show. Knock, 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 knock. Yeah.
Come on in.
I just
I'm
mean,
married,
so
sorry.
so we're talking about you saying, I'm unsure if I'm flirting with somebody, if I might get in trouble. If I'm a rock and roll god, and some girl's coming backstage, I'm expecting her to blow me or I'm going to fuck her. Or, and she's there to do that. We're not mincing words.
Yeah.
We're not, I wonder why you're here to say hi to me.
Yeah.
You know,
It's I really enjoyed the show.
What's
Here's a t-shirt.
Yeah, what's
By
the difference?
By the way, thanks, Eric Engelman, for watching the show tonight. You know what I always think is funny? This is the great part of Facebook Live videos and podcasting in general. You can have a candid
one-on-one
conversation like you're around a campfire. This is what I want this is what I want this podcast in particular.
Well, that's what it feels like. I mean, it does.
You're
not
having
blowing,
a beer
not
with
blowing
your
smoke
buddies
up your ass, but that's what it
around a
feels like
campfire.
right now. Yeah.
And for Facebook Live, it's great because I have all these different types of friends.
Yes.
It goes from super conservative to I'm running through the quad naked.
Bring your green hat.
And so I really enjoy it when I see somebody who I'm like, oh, you know what? You're not really so much running through the quad naked, but I'm glad you're watching the show.
Yeah.
I think that's great. But it doesn't help so much when you go back to social media and not helping with the news. This is entertainment. This is goofy stuff.
Yeah.
Conversations. But yeah, I thought, and when I saw Eric Engman, I'm like, oh. Wow, you guys are really.
It's a very respectable guy.
He's going to be like,
yes.
click, and click.
Yeah,
So-
you haven't
so
said
you're
butt
saying
plug yet.
There'll
so
be a
that'll
meeting. There'll
good.
be a meeting waiting for me at Monday, is what you're saying. You would not believe the gentleman that hosts your mid-morning show was saying.
Yeah,
You know.
he's going to disown us for sure as
Oh,
friends.
I fully expect a barbecue invite.
do you realize we live 10 minutes apart?
You and I
You and I live 10 minutes apart.
driving.
Driving.
I was
could
gonna,
be- you
I
could
was
live
gonna
in
say
Marion.
if it was
What the
walking.
No, it's about 10 minutes from
Really?
my undisclosed location to your undisclosed location.
You know what? Anytime you want to come to this undisclosed location and do a little something,
You got it. And likewise. So I got sodas, I got adult sodas, I got cigars.
I gotta see the mower. I'm
gotta-
enjoying you quite a bit as well, but
We'll
the
get the
mower,
mower
I
fired
have
you know what?
gotta
I
see.
gave you one beer and
know.
I drank the rest
Yeah, I see
of
that.
the 6-pack.
Yeah.
Is there anything left over there? I asked Todd.
can ask.
You had one job.
I had you a 6-pack
you're
of
fine.
beer.
You're
Are you
fine.
sure?
I messaged him and asked him, "What would you like? I'll get whatever you
No,
like
I
too." He
said
said,
it.
"No,
know
like
what?
I'm covered."
This is actually perfect because I live in the studio. The studio is in my home, so I can get as drunk as I want. What I love is that Justin Roberts is a respectable and responsible drinker. He's not going home drunk yet.
Wow.
Yeah. If you
All right, so
like
we
any
got-
of that stuff, go for it.
Cat's Away IPA
Okay.
and Round Midnight Belgian White, which is what the Blue Moon is you had.
Let's try that.
All right.
We'll do
All
that.
right. God bless you, sir. Good luck. Good luck to you.
This is Four Loko. Remember, we had one guy get sick, and then we banned Four Loko.
You know
Not
what? My
one guy.
wife. My
Not
wife.
one guy.
actually-
His wife.
My wife actually, we had like a neighborhood party where I think at this time everybody still thought that we were respectable human beings. And then we had this party and my wife tried Four Loko for the first time. And then out of nowhere, we were playing a
Ooh.
big game.
That's good, by the
And
way.
you're welcome.
That's very good. Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
very cold.
Awesome.
Wet the whistle.
But we were playing a game, and out of nowhere, my wife's like, "I got 2 lips, and you can suck them both, bitches!" To everybody, and as all of us are like this, what?
Long story short, your
just-
wife is not welcome back to
what-
the church bake sale.
What just
is what you're
happened?
saying.
And she disappeared like
She did. All
like
of a sudden,
that.
I was like, "Where'd she
Poof.
go?"
She disappeared. I'm like, "Where the fuck did she just go?" Passed out. She didn't get through even one Four Loko. It turned her from totally sensible Kathy to I'm gonna wreck your family reunion, Kathy. And it was great, and we've never had Four Loko in this home ever since.
Oh,
Well, I
that's
remember
magic.
drinking. I remember her saying, "Hey, try this, see what you think." And I was like, "It's like drinking liquid candy cane. Like it was so sweet.
was horrible,
It was
yeah.
really bad. The kind of thing you would probably mix with like a tonic. It was so
Essentially,
sweet
yeah.
and
Try to
gross.
cut it a little bit.
Cut it down, just like we do with our cocaine.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, anyway.
That's why I drink Zima, everybody. I tried to take a Jolly Rancher and I put it in my Zima. God, that's great.
God, I haven't heard that in a long time.
What, Zima?
It's for
Jolly
sale.
Ranchers?
It's for sale again too. So-
Is
Yeah,
it
it's
really?
back out
Is
there.
it- it's
Back out
back out there?
there.
Is that a Budweiser product?
I think so.
Oh, I think so.
I think it is.
Wouldn't it be great? I mean, seriously, this is a drinking show. It's kind of a relax a little bit. Let's get
just kick
crazy.
back.
Orgy. Sorry about that, Justin. Rule number
3
one.
times. You've
Rule
done it
number
3
one.
times.
Sorry, 3 times. It would be great to have a sponsor that just we drank their product.
7G, if you're listening.
Who's the?
It's a Budweiser distributor.
Oh, you know what?
Here in town,
Again,
yes.
one more notch up for you. What are you doing? You're dropping the ball.
I'm just going to the grocery store and getting you a horrible 6-pack of beer.
You know what? I was a little
You like
nervous
Ho-
about Blue Moon, but it went
Hogarden
well.
did,
Did you like
yeah.
it?
That was very
Hogarden's
good.
the same thing.
Hugarden?
Yes, same thing.
Hogarden.
Is it Hugarden or Hogarden?
Hogarden.
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 I want
But
spotted.
you want to say a garden.
Garden.
You
You're
wanna
going to
do
say
that,
it like
right?
that. Yep.
I think
Hogarden.
Spotted Cow should be our sponsor. Let's
You know, that
get
is
some New
illegal.
Belgian.
That is illegal to bring into Iowa.
I know.
It's illegal.
Illegal.
I'm a criminal.
I was gonna say I've been bringing beer back for here.
Everybody
forever.
has.
You're a
Everybody
goddamn
has.
smuggler.
But
You're
it
a
is
smuggler.
technically illegal to bring that into Iowa.
How the fuck do you get so smart?
Google.
You and your goddamn lawn rumba.
It's my
remember,
lawn Roomba.
I remember when New Belgium, when you couldn't get New Belgium here, and I had friends who were coming across the states, and they'd stop in there in Colorado and get it. And bring
Oh
it
yeah,
here.
yeah.
That's so weird.
I had a friend of
We
mine.
draw these lines and we say, "Hey, that beer there, that's got to stay here. You can't come over this line."
A friend
So
of mine had a friend who had a semi.
Oh wow,
And
this
they
is the best way. I love these stories. These are the best stories when they start this way. A friend of a friend of a. All right, go ahead.
he had
Semi.
he had a black Pontiac Trans Am.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And he said, "Hey, I will pay you to bring this truckload of Coors Light across the country." And they were eastbound and down, and it was done.
Wow.
Wow,
To me, that joke worked on
heavy.
so many levels.
I loved it. The whole eastbound and down.
Yeah.
The whole.
You know, Sally Field.
I love
you know,
it.
It was,
I love it. Do you know what we're talking about?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I just don't think it's fucking funny. Is that
Oh,
okay? Is
You
that
know
okay?
what?
Is
You know
that
what?
okay?
You know
Mr.
what?
Moral Compass
You know
is
what?
now the gong.
You know
I get
what?
it. I get
I
it.
wish.
The
I wish.
gong. I like that.
I wish for a moment there wasn't one of those in front of your faces, because then you could see one of these.
The
There's
disappointment.
a lot of
the contempt,
there's a lot of emotion
the
from the eyes.
sadness.
The sadness.
Sadness,
Mr. Dick
contempt.
Cheney hiding behind his black box over there.
Bum, bum, bum,
Hey, do you have any
bum,
more of
bum,
those
bum,
enlightening
bum.
questions?
Fuck no, this whole thing is done.
All right, hold on.
We got to fill you.
Hold on. Hold on.
We haven't
hold
talked
on
about
now.
the prices right.
What do you want to talk
1:45.
about?
Wait. Let me check out my notes.
Okay.
Consequences of fake news. Trump versus CNN. Now, I will say, go to TED Talk and type in why I agree. I don't like media anymore.
I've seen that one.
Which is a great TED Talk and explanation on how slowly but surely we've gotten into this realm of we have to have ratings, we have to have viral videos, and how journalism has transformed, and it's not given its due process. It's not given the time to vet out the who, what, when, where, why, how. It's all about
You've got newsrooms now full of reporters who used to have, people would shoot the story and help edit. You've got the reporter is now setting up the interview, is now shooting the story, has to come back and edit the story, and then go back and do another one yet too. And you get all that done before the 5 o'clock news, before the 6 o'clock news, before the 10 o'clock news.
Yeah.
You've got newspaper reporters who, the staff is smaller, so in turn, you got to work a lot harder, to try to fill that. Because even though the staff's gotten smaller, the paper's still the same size. Even though the TV station staff has gotten smaller, the half-hour newscast is still a half hour if it hasn't been expanded. There's a lot of hour. There's stations here locally, 2.5 hours in the morning, hour at noon, or half hour at 5 and 6, hour at 9, and half hour at 10. The time is still there to fill, even though the staff has gotten smaller. You know?
Yeah. And that actually it brings me back to this. Does media have the public's best interest at heart? And I think in a way, you and people like you look at it like, I really enjoy what I'm doing, right? I enjoy the act of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But what is the purpose behind what I'm doing? And I think the owners of the media channels, their intentions on, well, why are we doing what we're doing? What's driving the dollar? That has changed from back in the day when back in the day, and I always go back to like the 50s, and we're like, oh, it's in our best interest. They're telling these stories in the best interest. Whereas now, the reason why we have such a hard time, in my mind, and if you guys disagree, please tell me why. In my mind, this is why we don't have faith in what we see and hear anymore. We have things like dietary fads, reality TV, like Ghost Hunters and Housewives of Orange County. We have social media claims. We have alleged sexual assault. We have men resigning but not fired. Like, wait a second. Did you do something so horrible that you should be fired, but you're not? You're resigning? So is that what the fuck is that? That's pageantry, right? You did something bad enough that you should be fired for, or you haven't,
and you're avoiding it.
And you shouldn't have quit. We have media spin. We have clickbait. We have as seen on TV products.
Yep.
We have political allegations during a campaign. All of these things kind of add up to this distrust in anything you see. And then when you distrust everything, when that all goes away,
then you become cynical.
But then you think, I think anyway, well, what's going to entertain me? Because I don't believe anything I fucking see. So what's going to entertain me? Oh, butt plugs. I'm just kidding.
Or dude,
no,
like,
it's all about entertainment at that point.
Right.
At that point, it's all about
even like
entertainment.
Dude Perfect, right? Fun website to go to.
Yeah.
But if you ever saw Mike Rowe on that show, he did a segment where he went and saw those guys and interviewed him, and he I think Mike Rowe hit a basketball off the roof into a hoop. 583 tries.
Yeah.
He did it over, and he spent like 3 hours on the roof of this place. All you see, though,
is the one
video, and they got 1,000 of them. But it went from this cool thing where these guys were just, college kids screwing around to now, to get this clickbait like you're talking about, they have to make it look like,
it's a
look
one try
wonder. Look at the things we did. I mean, they have warehouses now that are just Dude Perfect stuff where they just go in there and that's all they do all day long is put together these videos that are crazy and different. But it's a misperception. It's not some cool thing you just happen to catch. But I think bigger to your larger point though, we don't have the capacity to stay that focused that long.
We don't.
Because I mean, you and I talked about how YouTube, people are saying 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? 30 to 50 seconds is about as long as people will watch something on YouTube before they're just like, go to the next thing.
Yeah. My average listener commuting on WMT, whether it's the morning show in the early morning or my mid-morning show, is 5 minutes. I've got them for about 5 minutes. They're either driving. Now, in the morning show, I might have them for 10 because they're driving from home to work, when I anchor the morning news. But in the midday, I might have them for 5 minutes. Now, there are those rare occasions where I'll have someone sitting at work with the computer on, streaming, or they got the radio on, or I might have them for, half hour. But it's what's called the TSL, time spent listening. If you've got anything over 15 minutes, that's phenomenal. I mean, if you can hold somebody's attention for 15 minutes, this day and age is huge.
Wow. That's even
and
worse
we
than I
do
thought.
it every week for 2 hours.
That's right.
Boom.
But that's why you hear traffic. We have weather every 10 minutes. Traffic on 10s and 20s because that's your new audience moves out, the new one comes in, and it's just a constant wheel.
Right.
TV is similar, or about 15-minute segments.
Right.
That's why you have weather in the first 15 minutes, and roughly about, if you're watching the 10 o'clock news, about 10:12 to 10:13, there's the main weather segment.
Again.
Then you have weather again at the end of the newscast.
Right.
So people can stay engaged and keep it on.
Or they can set their watch to it.
People that came in late are going to be like, oh, when am I going to see it? I don't want to wait. I missed the news. No, you'll see it again in a few minutes.
Yep.
Which reminds me, when I see things like, when I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh, I would listen to Rush and I would listen to MSNBC. I mean, I would listen to a variety of paradigms here, right? But I was always taken aback by, Jesus Christ, how many times are you fucking going to repeat the same sentence?
Yep.
I mean, you could have taken a 15-minute recording or a 5-minute recording and just looped that shit because you just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
So how does Joe Rogan get 120 million listeners a podcast when they're 3 hours long?
Here's the deal. The difference, and this is why I think entertainment and news and everything as far as enjoyable listening is going to go to podcasting, because with it wouldn't even be able to be this way without smartphones. But with a smartphone, I can start a podcast on my way to work.
Yep.
I could listen to Justin on the way to work, and then I could pause it, and then I get to a spot in my work where I'm like, I got a free hour.
Play it back. Yep.
And I could pick up right where I left off. It's just like an audiobook. Podcasts and radio shows anymore can be just like an audiobook. You can pick up right where you left off. And if you have an interesting dynamic, if you have a guest that is compelling, if it's something that you haven't heard before, or if there's a dynamic with the friendship that you and I are flipping shit back and forth to each other, it's something that somebody wants to hear because they want to be distracted from the humdrum normal.
Well, and people want to be a part of it. People like to be included. I want to be in on it.
Absolutely.
And to that specifically, that's one thing that we've, within the last, I'd say 6 months, podcasting is huge. You wouldn't think, 5 years ago, an AM radio station be worried about doing anything online. Every one of my segments I put up on the website now. Whether I'm talking to, Diana from the Gazette, or I got the guy who covers the Panthers, you put that up on the website because maybe people can't listen live when it happened, but they know where to click. They can hear the whole interview, hour later, half hour later, they could hear it on their drive home, specifically and exactly what you said.
Yeah. And one of the new things that's happening now with today's generation and how easy it is to capture an interview, right? Sennheiser now has these headphones that capture a 360 audio spectrum, right?
Wow.
So you put these headphones on, you plug them into your iPhone, you hit record, and the microphones are so good that if somebody were to be talking and walk around you, the listener to that podcast could shut their eyes and hear the person move around them. It's a 3D experience audibly.
Oh, yeah.
So today's listeners, today's podcast creators are listening to you and saying to themselves, oh, that was a great interview.
I have.
That's a great interview. How do I do that? What did he do? How did he break this down? Oh, that's awesome. But we're able to do that now.
On my iPhone, right now, I can pull up the play log for WMT or any one of our stations. I could go in. I could, what we call voice track, I could pre-record a show right from here. I could do a breaking news update right from here and send it right into the computer system.
Really?
Instead of having to take the microphone out and lug it in and bring it back to the station and edit it. Do it right here. I could do a whole 2 hour.
It's a microphone. It's cables. It's all kinds of shit.
Yeah. I mean, now I still carry in the back of my vehicle right now. I've got a Sennheiser mic with a recorder on it. Record an interview, take it back to the station. I can edit it, upload it to the system. But if I'm breaking news, let's say something happens downtown, I do the interview on the phone. Hit send. It sends it right up. It's on the air within 5 minutes.
And is that good quality sound? That kind of
sounds
thing?
like you're just in a studio, like we're standing right like on microphones, like what we've got here in our studio right now. Okay. So that's amazing, and that's how even TV has gone to. Before I left, it was a backpack. It's what they called a live view, where instead of the big truck with the antenna that goes 20 feet in the air, it's a over internet. It triangulates a cell phone signal, and you're sending the camera, you're sending the audio and video back on a backpack called live view on a 2-second delay. You can go live anywhere you've got a Wi-Fi signal.
Holy
I
shit.
just got a little technological chubby.
Sping.
That's me. That's the thing that I really get into. I would love, and maybe you can set this up because you have power, but I would love to go in and just watch people produce a show, see real professionals.
Yeah.
And what technology they use and the equipment and how do you figure this out and how do you figure that out and what's that capable of. I think just being a witness to watching real hardcore professionals do what they do, I think that's what set you up for success from the beginning. You got a job really early on, really young, and you were able to sit
watch people do it.
Yeah, if I wanted to be a firefighter, if I was 15 years old and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I want to be a firefighter. That's it for me. That's where I want to go. And I got to follow along with firefighters, go to the firehouse, learn exactly how they do things, learn the math behind it, understand PSI, understand the different trucks that are needed for the different scenarios. What kind of wealth of knowledge, what kind of interest, what kind of you're so much more engaged in what you're learning. And I think that is what you got at such a young age that not a lot of people got.
There's no question that I'm a blessed man. I mean, to be able to do what I love at home. I mean, my parents, hour and 10 minutes away. My sister, her husband, and her kids live an hour away. I started working at a radio station I grew up listening to, moved to a TV station I grew up watching. Now I'm on a radio station, that I listen to as well. You know how many people would kill for that? I mean, there are people that to this day try to work to get back home, and I've got that. And I've been honored to work with great people, that I grew up watching and I grew up listening to that gave a damn about me, They took a chance on me. Like, here's a little pain in the ass kid who wants to learn broadcasting and stuff. But, they took a chance on me. And, I mean, I couldn't be any happier. I mean, I am one of the luckiest guys, I think, that I get to do this and tell you guys about it and have a beer while I'm doing it, which is great. But, I mean, people would kill for the happiness and these, I don't want to call it success, but the chances and the opportunities that my life has been given.
Yeah. And the people that you get to meet, I mean, to me, it's all about the people that we get to meet and the stories, like what you were saying earlier, about the stories that they have to tell. Right. One of the questions from our listener. Thank you very much, Nick, for another question. Can you ask Justin, would he ever do a Facebook Live show of his show?
Yeah,
is that ever going to be a possibility?
I've never thought about that, but I think we should. I really think that's where we should go. Open it up another. There are stations that right now have a live presence online, have a stream and a chat room. I would love to someday get to that. The problem is, Nick, and not to get too behind baseball, is that anytime we're in the studio, when I turn the microphone on, all you hear is me. It kills the sound everywhere else. So it would just be a lot of me going, oh, so tell me more about that. But I'm sure there's a way we could get that set up. And I thank you for bringing that up because that's something I think would be awesome. I'd love to do like what you guys have here with cameras.
Right.
Because that would be another avenue, another way to consume, what we do on a daily basis and open it up to more eyes.
And along a lot of is it terrestrial radio? So like
non-traditional,
yeah, XM radio. A lot of them are. You can watch them online as well.
Yeah,
but that's set up through XM, I think.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Awesome, Justin.
Thank you guys.
My new BFF. Thank you so much.
We're only 10 minutes away. We're friends now.
I know it. We're gonna do more stuff. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. I really appreciate it, dude. We didn't get into the Price is Right. We didn't get into all these.
I got to spin the wheel. There you go. There's the story.
Really?
Oh, it's awesome.
You were on
studio.
TV and you got to spin the wheel for money.
We did behind the scenes. We took a camera there and met Drew Carey, interviewed him, got to spin the wheel. I am 5'10". The top of my head got to the middle of the dollar space. That's how big it is.
That's how big it is.
Wow. And
you went
there for a reason?
We did. I was at Channel 2, and we did behind the scenes. Drew Carey had just started hosting it.
Okay.
And CBS is like, oh, you're going to give us promotion? Come on out. We'd love to have you. The announcer had worked with my former chief meteorologist, so we had an in. So we got to do stuff the normal crew wouldn't get to do.
Oh, cool.
So
I heard he's
lifelong
a great guy.
dream.
I heard he's a great guy, too.
Great. We sat at a bar that they gave away on the showcase that day and did our interview.
Oh, really?
And then when we interviewed Wayne Brady for Let's Make a Deal, and he's like, he thought it was so cool that someone from Iowa would come out and do a story. He's like, do you want to keep can we have the studio audience in here? So it was me and Wayne, director's chairs, facing each other with the whole studio audience behind us.
You know what?
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
I'm just a little farm kid from Iowa getting to do this.
Yeah.
This is pretty awesome.
Very
It's cool
cool.
Absolutely. Todd.
Yes.
Sir, what do you think? Should we travel more? Should we go places and interview people?
It'd be fun.
Now, Justin, one of the things I've always wanted to do, I'm still going to do it. It's on my bucket list. Grandpa, I promise, is interview my grandparents first.
Do that.
Interview them first, right? I want to know what they remember from their fathers, from their grandfathers. Where did they come from? How was it? What was it like when they were kids? What did they dream of being? Those things. I've always thought about going to retirement homes because there's a vastness of knowledge and stories, and people want to just be listened to and talked
And
to.
underappreciated knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stories,
I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do that. But I think, Todd, maybe we should travel around a little bit.
Where do you want to go? Do you have something in mind?
You know what? I really don't have anything in mind, but I have this vision of like a small camper that is retrofitted with cables and microphones and cameras.
So, like, what was the NPR thing that they did?
Where they talk too close on the microphone like this the entire show?
No, it was
Yeah,
it was
it.
like if my son and I interviewed my son when he was younger.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
StoryCorps.
Yeah, StoryCorps.
So they would have a camper they would set up, and you could do that. You could just interview somebody.
Do I have enough time to tell a grandparent story?
I would love you to tell a
Go
good
for it.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Floods of 2008. I'm stuck behind the anchor desk at Channel 2. My grandpa Dale had just passed away about a year and a half before. We were very close with my grandpa and grandma. They lived 6 minutes away from us on the farm. My grandma Jerry could cook like it was nobody's. I mean, she was a phenomenal cook, just a beautiful woman inside and out. And you had people, salespeople answering phones, people who normally were never on TV were pitching in to help cover. And it was a Friday night. My mom and my dad and my grandma had come down to the radio station or to the TV station and brought food for everybody, like a home-cooked, non-fast food meal. And my grandma was 83 or 84 at the time. And that was the second time she was ever in the TV studio. I mean, this is a woman who grew up before TV. You know, she was around when it first started and stuff. I mean, she remembers when there were 2 stations. And one of my favorite pictures is my grandma took of me standing behind the weather desk. I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops with a shirt and tie on. And my grandma brought home-cooked meals, and this was in July, and my grandma passed away that 2 months later in September. And every single one of the people in the building, I mean, sales staff, general manager, anchors, came through the visitation that night.
Awesome.
And there were bouquets of flowers. That's what kind of people you have working in media here. People that care. I mean, yeah, it's a shitty life sometimes. I mean, there's long hours, there's missed holidays, but the people are here for the right reasons.
It's a great way to end it.
That's a great note to
about as
end on.
perfect as you
Thank
can
you very
get.
much.
Thank you guys.
Justin
seriously.
Roberts for coming on tonight in the Primal Screen podcast. Todd, is there anything else? Is there a little wisp of wisdom that you'd like to besmirch on everybody?
No, I don't. You can.
That's
look for,
why
okay.
I'm moving on to the new BFF. Because he's got nothing.
I was just gonna say we're gonna have Josh Colburn, our old pal, will be on next Sunday.
Awesome, Joshua Coburn. He is a motivational speaker. He also works for Brown L's. He travels around a lot. He's gotten really buff.
I told him I had to get a new
He's got
chair
a lot
for
of tattoos,
him.
a lot of body modifications, and he is a speaker to young people about depression and anxiety and how to fit in today's world and his own trials and tribulations. Joshua Coburn, he's one of the greatest guys I've ever known.
Manners and Motivations.
Manners and Motivations. You can check him out.
I told him I had to get him a new chair for him. I'm just not sure he'll fit in this one.
Right, because he's a buff
He
motherfucker.
got
My
he
God.
he got huge.
Am I going to even be able to put my mitts around him? I'm 6 foot, almost 1. I don't know if I can put my hands around him.
We'll try.
He's a big fella.
He's a good hugger too. We'll give it
He
a
is
shot.
a good hugger. He's a really good hugger. All right. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Justin, thank you very
guys.
much, sir. I
Thank
really,
you
really,
for watching
really
too.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
It was awesome.
Todd, anything? No? Nothing? Anything at all?
I like you still a lot. It's just
Okay.
close to-
Well, I suppose
I'm
we'll
still
keep...
in the running for best friend, though.
You
right?
are still in the running for
You're
best
probably
friend.
top of the list
Well, we're
for
going to
sure.
keep you right at that second place. Right at the first place? First place, second place, second. You know, it's all muddy. It's like the top 5 is very muddy.
You're in
anyway.
control. So it's
But anyway,
okay.
that's it for the Primal Screen podcast. I'm Matt,
I am always M. Todd.
and I'll see you later.
Adios.
Good night.